first. So that means you picking 4, 9, and 14. Remember, it's every 5.
All right, we live.
5 picks.
Let me pull up the chat
remember, Nick,
on my iPad.
Yeah, Nick. So Nick, you got 4, 9, and 14.
All right.
Yeah, Shelton got 5, 10, and 15. FIFO got 1, 6, and 11. And 3, 8. He got the same thing I had, 3, 8, and 13. I got 2, 7, and 12. 2, 7, 12. Let me make sure it wasn't either. So I'm just looking at my so Bobcats, Golden State, and Houston.
Don't mess up my Bobcats.
By the way, we live. So don't
I heard you can. You be quiet, Sheldon. Don't mess up your Bobcats.
They messed themselves up with Beatrice, so do better. Hey, did y'all see that they played baseball last night in Korea?
Yeah, I heard about that.
So that's good. Sports may be coming back.
People,
but unfortunately, if we do get sports coming back, it's gonna be. Wait, let me not say that. That's me.
Yeah, we getting there. All right, so FIFO says start without him, so we'll do that. Where's my mic? It's behind my Mac. Hold on. Let me move that up. We're going to get this party started. Hold on. Push play on this thing. I don't know why it went away. All right. This is the place where sports opinions collide. Dead End Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth B. Inge. Joining me, as usual, we got BZ430 in that top corner you see sitting right next to me.
What up, Don?
We got right below him Shelton J.
How you doing, man?
And we got Nikki Duce from the No Disrespect podcast.
What's going on?
FIFO will be on the way. He told us to get started, so he on that CP time. C stands for Cuban, but he'll be here. Shelton, before we get started, man, have you guys recorded or dropped anything?
We have been recording. We haven't dropped anything.
Okay.
Dealing with the CP time still, which is FIFO.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we recorded. Matter of fact, we recorded tonight. So we've been doing some shows.
All right, cool. So yeah, for those of you listening, man, make sure you guys go subscribe to the Black Korea podcast. Like Shelton just said, they got new episodes on the way, so you can catch them out. What about you guys, Nick? What's going on there with No Disrespect?
I was gonna hit you up about that. As far as I don't know what y'all got going on with the studio, but we working on something right now at the crib. It should be coming out soon, very soon.
Okay, all right. And Dead End Gaming still that train's still rolling, right, B?
Yep. We plan on recording something tonight. So be on the lookout for that.
All right, and yeah, cool. So anyway, let's not hold the folks up. We know they're here for some sports talk, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Nick.
Yeah, I just while we waiting, I got a couple just NFL topics I wanted to touch on. Well, first things first, RIP to Don Shula. I think ESPN.
Oh yeah, RIP to the legend, to the great.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been covering all his stories and talking to every teammate, coach that's ever been around him. Is he the winningest head coach in the NFL history?
He is. I didn't know that. I saw that on the ticker, and I was like, man, I didn't realize that he was the winningest. But that's crazy. Those teams were tough, though. Those Dolphins teams were fun to play with.
Coached in 6 Super Bowls, I think. I knew he was great. I didn't know a lot of the information that, they're starting to roll out now. But, it's hard to really know that when all they ever talk about is Belichick, right? So
yeah,
and
exactly.
he coached for 30-something years. So a lot of those wins were accumulated, obviously, over time. But nevertheless, I mean, he still is one of the greats, and very few people mention his name when they're talking about great coaches.
Yeah, I just wanted to give him a shout out. But on other NFL news and topics, the biggest one right now is just Andy Dalton. He just got released by the Bengals last week, and he got picked up by the Cowboys shortly after that. We in our chat had a conversation about who would get picked up first between, like, what was it, him, Cam, and I think it was some other black QB. And I think all of us, regardless of how we feel about it, expected Dalton to be picked up. So what do y'all think about the move?
Not surprised at all, man. If we talk about fit as far as the backup, Andy Dalton fits that mold of what you would think a backup should be. He has starter experience. He's been a Pro Bowler, I think. I'm pretty sure
at least
two-time Pro Bowl.
Yeah, 2 times.
So he's not going to make any waves. He's already announced that he's happy being a backup. He said he would be happy to stay, which I think that, like I said, I think they should have kept him there in Cincinnati as a backup, if you ask my opinion.
Too much money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They could have cut him and re-signed him, even, or asked him to take a pay cut. I don't know if that's. I know they do that in other sports, but I don't know if they do that. But that's what I would have tried to do. I would try to keep him there as the backup, or bring him back with less money, and I think he would have stayed. But I'm not surprised, and I know the color of the skin does make a bit of a difference. It does make a difference too. But more than anything, he wasn't gonna make no waves. So that's why I'm not surprised.
What about you, Cam?
It was quick. It didn't take long. I know that Jameis and Cam were let go before the draft, and a lot of teams wanted to kind of see how the draft play out before they're making decisions on who they wanted to hire next. And then, of course, post-draft, we see Jameis sign, and, Cam is still out there, and Cam isn't really doing himself any favor by talking about you only want to be a starter. But, yeah, I think just to take the other side, like, we, if Cam was white, would he still be out here like that? And I know fit has plays a huge factor in that, and of course, his decision to not accept the backup role. And I think that also shows the difference in mentality between Dalton and Cam. Dalton is like, yeah, I'm cool being a backup, learning from McCarthy. He's saying all of the right things, but from what I heard on the Shelter podcast, he has every intentions of taking that job. He's just not going to say that. So, but before he said something about being the backup, it sounded like he was looking forward to being the starter. So he knows it's probably just a matter of time, especially if they struggle, that he'll be there to take it. So I think this is, while it looks funny because one is black and one is white, I am kind of sort of with Shelton in the fact that I think this is mostly about fit and Cam's decision on not accepting a backup position.
Yeah, for me, Andy Dalton has always been able to say the right things. He just, on the field, he just isn't able to do the right things. The QB, and why we let him go. But again, as far as his character, yeah, he's a good guy. He did a lot in Cincinnati as far as with his foundation and just him being a public figure in the city. I respect him on that. But I do agree that from what you said, Ken, as far as in my heart, I know once he signed the Cowboys, he is in his mind, he is the starter. He's just that it's going to be a little delayed. And I think that Jerry Jones signing him was more about leverage for Dak and his contract situation, because after this year, I believe Dak could be a free agent if he's not signed. And then you can possibly either draft another QB or just have Andy Dalton, who is already in the same first year as Dak as far as in the Mike McCarthy era. So he can learn that playbook and start right in that next year in between the Cowboys trying to get another QB behind Andy for the next franchise to be the franchise
What are
QB.
you
So
looking for?
I think it was a brilliant move on Jerry Jones. I think it's just worse news for Dak.
Yeah, it definitely puts Dak in a position where he got to get to camp now. I was watching. I forgot what I was watching, but they were talking about it earlier, and they were saying how I think Dak has made $5 million on the field thus far in his career. But if he signs a franchise tag in 1 year, he's gonna make like $31 million. So of course he's gonna play. He's gonna take the money. But getting him in camp as quick as possible is gonna be important. I've also heard several backup quarterbacks say your mentality should be that of a starter anyway. So I'm not surprised by him having a starter's mentality. I just think realistically he knows he's gonna be the backup in Dallas. He just want to look good, keep himself together. If there's a reason he make it to the field, be solid enough to get another job. I think that's what he's looking at it as, not being the end result for the Dallas Cowboys, but being a piece of a puzzle. So that's what I look at it as.
It's just interesting to me, just kind of looking at, we're talking about 3 starters that are now backups because of
and 2 of them number 1 overall picks.
Yeah, and it's just, but one is old and one isn't. Like 2 of those guys are young, so Jameis just didn't. I mean, there just were no positions available for him. I loved everything he said about going to New Orleans. About humbling himself and learning. I thought all of that was great, and I think he deserves credit for that. Same way we're giving Dalton credit for saying the right things as well. But just looking at guys that can play right now that should be starters on teams that are not because we got Fitzpatrick taking one job and a bunch of rookies are out here taking jobs as well. So it's interesting just to see how the league has changed in that way.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's hard to imagine that Cam Newton and Jameis Winston aren't in the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. There's no way you can't say that those 2 aren't in the top 32.
Yeah, just off of that sentence alone, but context matters. Like, there's 32 teams in the NFL, but half of those teams made the playoffs last year, so they don't really need Cam. And then the other half are rebuilding and they probably already got their QB, just like Miami. Miami already had their QB. They're just using Ryan Fitzpatrick as, in between time. And then you could say that for a few other teams. So, and with Cam, it's like with his playing style, there's not a lot of teams that have an offensive coordinator that can do that. Like,
yeah, but we can pull up a list of all the starters, and I think what Shelton is saying is that probably half those teams, at least a third, those 2 guys are better than them, regardless of whether they got their starter or they got the job or not. They're just better. And the contest that you're talking about is just the situations. But in terms of talent and the ability to play the game, they are better quarterback. It's I'm bringing Cap in not for the political sake and the controversy sake, but just his ability on the field. We knew that he was better than some of the guys that were backups, and the context is why he wasn't in the league. But in terms of talent, Jameis and Cam, man, they're better than a lot of these guys. Definitely better than Minshew.
But Cam's talent has diminished a bit. The hit taken.
He ain't diminished. He was a little banged up.
Do we see Cam getting signed before the end of the season?
I think so. I still, like I said, I think that something gonna come up for him at some point. I think like you look at a team like Washington, for example. If old boy struggles or gets hurt, he gonna get a spot. He gonna get a shot out there with Washington. I think San Diego, if something happened with Tyrod, or if he don't play quite well enough, then before you throw the rookie in there, you'll call up a Cam. But it would have to be the right situation. It would have to be the right situation for Cam. Put it that way.
You and I see this differently, Shelton, because I don't think he will. I think a lot of it is due to him saying I'm a starter, and I'm bringing Kaepernick in again. And he had that mentality for a while. He changed it eventually, but because of that, nobody wanted to sign him because the money, and they didn't really have any starter positions available. Right now, there are none, and Cam saying, "I don't want to be a backup," is going to limit his opportunities before the season starts. Um, Wait, let me interrupt myself. Nick, did you say before the end of the season or before the season start?
By the end of the season.
Oh, then I take away everything I just said. Then yeah, you're absolutely right, Shelton. I think at some point, somebody could get hurt, but I wonder about the fit, and I think that is what concerns me because we saw them use that defense against Kaepernick and the reasons why they didn't want to sign him. And I have a feeling that some people may use that against Cam Newton. And I don't think a lot of teams or execs really like Cam for all of the extra stuff he is. Like I think they like him they're against him for different reasons that they were against Kaepernick. And because he's so extra, because he brings a lot of attention to himself, and because he's black, that may also limit his chances. And a way to do that is to talk about fit. And everything they used against Kaepernick, they could turn around and use against Cam. So time will tell. We'll see.
B, you think he's going to be signed before the end of the season?
Yeah, I think he will. I mean, why not? I mean, like Cam mentioned, and I mentioned this in our chats and stuff like that. Like, and shout out to the brother Kyle, brother Troy Kyle, man. He don't got the complexion for protection, so it's amazing how he's not signed yet. And where Jameis got signed to the Saints, which I think that'd be a good pickup. But I think Cam should be signed, man. I'm trying to think what team will be a good fit for him as far as being a starter. But yeah, I think he'd be signed before the season is up.
I don't know. I think maybe Cam is out the league. I think.
Why? Why you think he's out of the league?
Because
we have worse quarterbacks still getting checks and getting a job and getting starting positions at that.
It's not because of that. It's because of the unknown. And to me, there's a lot that's unknown about Cam. We don't know really what his mentality is as far as if he's using this time to humble himself just to be a part of a team. Because right now that's what he got to do. But he hasn't been doing that. He's been saying, I'm a starter. I'm just going to wait until somebody get hurt. Well,
he might be motivated though. Like he might come in with a chip on his shoulder in wherever situation. If he gets into the right situation, I think he gonna ball out.
Well, he came into the league with a chip on his shoulder, and he did wonderful since then.
That's what I'm saying. But now he feel like the Panthers gave up on him. Now he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's gonna be charged. I think he's definitely gonna be motivated and charged. So
I don't think he is as talented as we've last seen him. I feel like we're always thinking about Cam as 2015 MVP Cam, and I don't see him ever getting back. Last time I seen him, he barely could throw for 20 yards. And even though he's been off, like as far as like he's been rehabbing and he possibly is at his healthiest, I don't know what system really fits him anymore, and let alone
So when he be healthy, you still don't think he's gonna throw for 20 yards?
I think by the time he gets healthy, the league has already passed him on.
No,
it's a shot either way. I think that I think the thing that's hurting him the most is he hadn't been able to go work out for anybody in person. I think that's really what's holding Cam back. And once they can get him in for a workout some places, I think you'll see the interest and the buzz pick up on Cam. I don't think he's done. I don't think they're going to Kaepernick him just yet, but they will probably tell him to tone it down. And I think you're going to see him change his tune the further we get along. You're going to start seeing Cam saying more things like, I'm acceptable to this. You got to start changing a little bit. You can't be as arrogant and as forceful later on. He ain't in position to make no demands. So he can say what he wants, but those wants can change the further along we get and the closer we get to the season.
Yeah, and you know what, Nick, man, look, I came on to this thing, you already started disrespectfully, bro.
Hey, you know how I got to start it off. I got to keep the fans on their toes.
Look, I don't think Cam is out the league. I do agree that there is a lot of unknown because we haven't seen him play in a while. Also, to Shelton's point, he hasn't been able to work out for a team. Obviously, there's a lot of teams that already have quarterbacks, but in all honesty, if Ben goes down again, right? I think that could be a potential landing spot for Cam, depending on how the other dude does again. Because he was very borderline. Even though they won, I think that goes a lot to Tomlin and how he has that organization running. But I think that could be a potential spot. Let Baker Mayfield have another bad season. They're going to bring somebody else in, and they're not going to bring in another young quarterback because that team is to win. Answer there. When I look at the rest of the league, we see what's happening with Deshaun Watson. He's going to want out. If he doesn't re-sign with the Texans, what are you going to do? Go get a young quarterback or use Cam as a bridge? So I still think that there are opportunities for him, obviously more slim. But I still think, look, man, if Nick Foles bombs it out, you think they're going to go back to Trubisky?
It's not about that. It's more about the fact that, you know how, like, if you're the last pick like for a pickup game of basketball, that means nobody really wanted you. Like, to me, that's what it is for Cam. Like, no one really wants him because I don't think no one really sees value in him anymore. He's been removed from his best years, and we can just draft a younger QB who's already healthier or even more talented than him. And on top of that, because the league now has moved into his direction as far as running QBs, athletic QBs. And then on top of that, we can just build around a young guy and buy and supplement that talent around him. With Cam, I think again he wants to be a starter. He wants starter money too.
But again, I think football, especially football, is all about fit. And if you're talking about a team like the Cleveland Browns, they do not have the time to groom another young QB. If Baker does not work, you have to get a veteran QB in there to win. You're not going to win with a rookie guy. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there are opportunities. You know, how long does Tom Brady really have? You know, I think there's just a lot of questions. Again, I understand where you're coming from. Where Cam, there's a lot of there's more question marks around Cam than there are answers, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, there are going to be availabilities for him. He's just not going to be able to walk into the room and be like, "Yeah, I'm Cam Newton, I'm the starting quarterback." He's going to have to work his way back up. He's in a situation where he has to prove himself all over again. And I think that people that are as competitive as Cam, that's not a detriment to Cam. That may actually make him even better.
We'll see. I got to see it to believe now.
Say something, Tyrod, or they want Justin Herbert to play. Herbert ain't the guy. I'm just saying, there's a lot of what. I think there are opportunities for Cam Newton to maybe not this upcoming season, but definitely the season after. So Ken, so you think that if Cam doesn't get a situation this year, he won't next year at all? Wow.
I totally agree with that. Just for the fact that, bro, the years are passing by. Look at Cap. I mean, there was a point in time we had the same conversation. Cap has talent. Cap's better than half the QBs. Da 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 this, da 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 that. And then, but we still have the same question: is we don't know what Cap's looks like. No one wants to work out Cap. It just got to the point where, like, we've moved on. We know Cap will probably never be in the NFL again. And I'm not going to say never for Cam, but I just don't see it as far as this season. I don't see him getting signed this season.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, though, Nick, was timing of when the Panthers let him go. He wasn't able to really work out with any other team or really interview with any other team. I think that's the reason why this year kind of sort of for him is a wash. And it's really going to come down to a scenario where somebody gets hurt and they're a good team that doesn't want to have a drastic fall off. That's where Cam fits this year. But next year, let's let the season play out. You know what I'm saying? Who did the Raiders get as a backup quarterback?
Mariota.
Mariota's been mediocre. You know what I'm saying? Let that situation where Derek Carr, let's say he can't really get off the snide, Mariota comes in and he's worse, you know what I'm saying, if not better than Derek Carr. That's a potential landing spot. I think there are potential landing spots for Cam. Again, like I said, Nick Foles. Nick Foles goes to Chicago and sneaks up the joint. Again, they're not going to go back to Trubisky. And that defense is still, good enough to win now. What is it to give Cam a 1 or 2 year deal? I think Cam still has some tread. I'm not going to say a lot of tread on the tire, but you're just writing him off. And I think that the difference between him and Kaepernick, just as from a quarterback perspective, Cam was a better thrower. Kaepernick had a gun, had a bazooka on their shoulder, but so does Cam. We don't know at what level anymore. And again, I think that's hurting us because the last image of Cam was a Cam, like you said, could barely throw 20 yards.
Right.
We know this for a fact. That shoulder isn't as damaged as it was when he was throwing for 20 yards. Have you been seeing this man work out? This man's a beast, bro. You're not deadlifting. You're not doing all of these workouts he's doing. Your shoulder is jacked up to that degree. The man is healthy. The man can contribute. I don't think it'll be because of the timing of things. But next season, yeah, man, you tripping, Nick.
All I'm saying is, hey, look, everybody look good when they're working out. It's when you're on the field and you got those 200-plus linebackers and defensive linemen coming at you, and you got to throw it in a tight window, which he's never really been that great with accuracy anyway, even in his MVP. So that's just my thing. We can move on.
I think
Lamar Jackson, and at the end of the day,
Lamar's young. Come on, Lamar just got in the league.
No, he got the legs. All I'm saying. So you believe that Cam Newton can't run away from nobody no more? That's what you're saying?
I'm not saying about the running. I'm talking about as a QB, as a thrower. I do not think he is. I think his skills have diminished a lot because of the physical injuries, because of him being a runner.
The first half of that season before his shoulder went out, though, man, he was real accurate. That was the most accurate I've ever seen Cam. Of course, I watched every Panthers game in his whole career.
And what was the reason, Shelton?
Coaching. And
Who
he was in
was
the
the
right
OC?
situation.
Who was the OC?
No, Turner. Turner had him together. And he was getting that ball. He was making plays. And he wasn't relying on his legs quite as much. He was using his arm, it was a new Cam. And he evolved with the game. So I saw that in him. So it's in there to be had. And like you said, it's got to be right situation. You look at Jacksonville with Gardner Minshew as the starter.
Look at Tennessee.
Yeah, all the places. Well, even Kansas City. If something happens to Patrick Mahomes, you know what I'm saying? It's plenty of places for Cam to go and step in. And all these quarterbacks are one injury away from being down. But these teams are still playoff caliber teams with a starting quarterback. That's what you got to think about. So they're not looking for a backup. We're not looking to sign a backup. God forbid Patrick Mahomes gets hurt. They need a starter, a plug-and-play guy that can come in, and that's what Cam is saying he is. So that's why I think there's nothing really wrong with what he's saying right now. Will his tune change, say after training camp and nobody gets hurt and, the season starts rolling, everybody okay? Then it's kind of like, hey, I'll come in and be a backup, whatever y'all need me to do. But for now, he's saying what it is, and he's saying what he sees himself as. I don't see that being a problem.
Shelton, look at the Colts. These guys got old man Rivers.
Yes.
Do you really think he's going to last more than a year, bro?
No,
That's
sir.
the perfect place for Cam to come in and be better than what Phillip Rivers was and be a bridge quarterback.
And all the teams you're talking about or you're probably thinking about are looking towards the draft of 2021, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, like this again.
No. See, these teams, the teams that I'm talking about aren't. These teams I'm talking about are teams that have settled quarterbacks. What I'm saying is if these quarterbacks go down, then they won't be to that position. And then the ones I'm talking about, they're too good to even be in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. Those teams that are bottom dwellers, that's their position. These teams, like I said, the San Diego, for example, San Diego is not thinking about Trevor Lawrence.
Nope.
They think about making the playoffs.
Yep.
So
well, I'm saying, well, the Chiefs traded up to get Patty Mahomes after what, winning like 12 games, 11 games, and going to the second round of playoffs. So teams can do whatever the hell they want to do if they really want you.
Yeah, but next year there's only really 2 quarterbacks that you would make a move like that for. As
Justin.
of right now, we don't, you know what I'm saying, we don't know somebody else is going to ascend, but if they do, it is what it is. But as of today, right now, there's only 2 quarterbacks, Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, that you would make a move like that for. And you're 100% with Shelton. The majority of the teams I named are playoff teams or teams that want to be in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not talking the bottom feeder teams. We're not talking the Dolphins, even though they drafted their guy. We're not talking the Cardinals. We're not talking the Detroit Lions. We're not talking Jacksonville, really. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on what Jacksonville does. Let's say they get a top 4 pick and they get the best defender, but they didn't get a quarterback. You bring in Cam, because now if that defense is, again, revamped, rebuilt, and they can be a top 5, top 7 defense, if you bring Cam and 1 or 2 weapons, you could make some noise. You know what I'm saying? I think that's just where Cam is in his career right now. I just think the timing of things messed him up. But to say he can't play or he's going to be out the league, Nick, I don't know, man.
I don't see it. You might be out the same way. You feel the same way I felt about Melo when you were talking all that shit.
But what have I always said about Melo? I've always said it's about fit. And I've always said, I've been saying Portland was the perfect fit. He just decided to go there way after the fact. But that was the perfect fit for his team in the NFL. We won't know that this year again because of timing. But to say that man can't play, bro, like, I don't know, man.
I didn't say he couldn't play. I just don't think I think the league is gonna pass him on.
But I think the league has passed Colin more than they passed Cam.
I understand that, but they'd rather go younger than go with the damn as good. Not to say he's damn as good, but that's what they're looking at. Like,
I think it depends on the team.
It depends on the team. Yeah, most teams, like I said, the teams that are ready to win now are not looking to go younger. They're looking for the future now. I mean, their future is now. So it's win now at all costs. Because you got to think about it. The life of a GM is shorter than the life of a quarterback. So his job is to get a winner in there so I can win right now.
And I
see the future.
I agree with y'all as far as that point. However, I said this year. So this year, Baker ain't going nowhere because they need a whole year to evaluate. All the quarterbacks and teams y'all talking about, even the Raiders or whoever else, they're using this year to evaluate all that. I don't think he will be signed this year. And then if he ain't signed this year, moving next year, that's like another whole year that he's out of football. You know what I mean? So it's just like, again, the time will pass him on.
No, I don't think so, man, because everybody's not going to draft a quarterback next year that needs a quarterback. They're just not. There's not that many high-value quarterback prospects. And I'm not saying that you can't get a quarterback 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, but how often do those guys be your guy, right? And sustain that. So, again, I still think there's going to be options for him next year. Possibly this year, depending on injuries, but definitely next year. So if you're solely talking about this year, I'll concede a little bit. But come on, man. I don't know. It just, the way you sound disrespectful. I'm not
Hey, I like Cam too. I was eating the Danny yogurt before he got kicked off. All right. But all right, we can move on. FIFO, you did this the last time we did, so I was gonna let you handle the reins as far as this redraft for 2012. You wanna count for it?
Oh, we were doing that today?
Yes. You picking first. You picking 1, 6, and 11.
Come on, man.
Hey, man, look, look, man. I got the I don't need all the research. I just need to see who was in it.
While you looking,
you drafting for the New Orleans Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Portland Trail Blazers twice. They got the 6 and 11 pick. So them your picks that you're doing.
So yeah, I'm definitely taking. See everybody in this draft real quick. Yeah, by far. Anthony Davis. Ain't nobody else close to him in this draft.
Oh, so we just gonna get right into it, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you ain't gonna prep it up. You ain't gonna take it out in the first.
All right. We just gonna get right to that thing. Okay, let me look at my record, because I'm basing this off the 2011-2012 roster. So, and I'm but this second pick I'm picking I'm the Charlotte Bobcats. So with my pick, let's see, we got Kemba coming off a rookie season. Oh, this is gonna be easy right here. I'm about to have a beast backcourt. Give me Bradley Beal at the 2. So give me Bradley Beal and Kemba Walker. Yeah.
I'm still gonna win 30 games.
You said what?
Y'all still gonna win 30 games.
No. My backcourt is too beastly, because I can worry about front court after that in the years to come after that.
Okay. I mean, shit. This is a no-brainer. Give me Dame. I don't care if I got John Wall. We know John Wall. Give me Dame. John Wall can play, Dame can play the 2.
Are you serious?
Huh?
Are you serious? You literally have John Wall, 6'3". You gonna draft Dame?
Yep, sure am.
Yeah, I was looking at Dame, but I was like, for my team, we need a 2 guard or a small forward, so I gotta go with Bradley Beal with mine.
I'm going with the best available for me.
You gonna draft the same position?
Yeah.
Yep, I'll make it work.
That's not good.
Hey,
that's locker room chaos right there because of the GM.
Nah, man, because Dame is a scorer, so I can just shift him over to scoring. That's it.
Well, who he gonna guard?
Who? Dame?
Dame or what's the name?
John Wall.
I'll find somebody.
Hey Ken, I'm kind of with you though, man. I'm with you. Who gonna guard them?
Thank you.
That's the question.
They didn't make it work with Bradley Beal, so look at this list. Who else? I could probably get Drummond, but give me Dame. I know what Dame can do. Give me Dame. I could trade John Wall.
I already knew he was gonna say that. You just drafted him last year. You gonna trade him already?
I can get a lot for him.
But here's the thing, though, Ken. You lose your leverage by drafting Dame Lillard, because all of the other GMs know that you're gonna have to get rid of one of them. So you're not gonna take.
We'll work it out. This is our we just.
This the process, right, Ken?
The 2K team. Okay.
That's the Cleveland Cavaliers of today.
Right. Beat up my guy.
You picking next, Shelton?
No, I got the 4th pick. This is for the Cleveland Cavaliers, because as usual, they're always a top 5 lottery pick team. And with this, I'm gonna go Andre Drummond. We drafted Kyrie last year. Andre Drummond is the best big man, second best big man in this draft. And yeah, rebounding and second chance points, that's what he's gonna give you.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna have to talk to my homeboy Kyle 12, because he put me last. But I guess that means I won the 2012 draft if I'm picking last right now. So I'll take that. But with my pick, I'm picking for the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to pick Draymond Green, the Swiss Army knife to go with DeMarcus Cousins. I feel like that's a formidable front court. They both athletic. They can pass that thing. They can shoot it. They can, before Draymond's legs went out on him, he could shoot, So I think they would work good together. They some monsters down there. IT at the point, it'll work out.
Bevo? Portland?
Yeah, with Portland's first pick, which is the number 6 pick in this draft, I'm just looking at their roster versus everything I got. Now, I see why they aimed, because their starting point guard was Raymond Felton. So I definitely understand that. But looking at everybody that's left, Man, the player I'm going to pick is going to be. Oof, this is tough. Give me, give me Dion Waiters.
Mm.
And the reason why I'm gonna go Dion is because when I look at the rest of this roster, um, they don't really have a guy that can get buckets like that. You know, Wesley Johnson was or Wesley Matthews was on that roster. Um, Jared Jeffries, like there's nobody that really gets buckets. They had LaMarcus, they had Jamal Crawford, so obviously Jamal and Will Barton, but I'm gonna still go Dion.
All right, so with my pick, Golden State Warriors. We already got our guards. We got Clay and Steph now. We drafted Clay last year, so I mean, I guess we can work our way up to that small four position. So I'm gonna go with Chris Middleton. That's gonna be my next pick. Cause man, like after Steph and Clay, like yeah, pretty much from 3, 4, and 5, they need positions on that shit, man. I mean, they had David Lee, who was a solid double guy, but yeah, I'm going with Chris Middleton.
That would have been it would have been interesting to see how he would have developed.
Yeah, would have. Cause he can shoot that bad boy too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he ended up being a better shooter than Harrison Barnes, but yeah, that would have been interesting how they would have been to stretch that floor out with him there.
And I think isn't he longer?
About the same length. I think they're both 6'7", 6'8", him and Harrison Barnes. Yeah, they're the same height. Yeah, so that's my pick.
Damn. Okay. I had him lined up. Because Toronto's a very they're an interesting team. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong one. Let me go back to 2011.
Yeah, that'd be in 2011, 2012 Toronto roster.
Okay. Shit. This is rough. This is a bad draft.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So looking at this
draft had some bums, boy.
Yeah, it did. But yeah, I mean, looking at this team, 2011, they needed a point guard. I don't like any left. They needed they have DeMar. They are in need of a small forward, power forward. Bargnani was playing the center, so I think they're okay there. So just go ahead and give me Harrison Barnes, man. I'll take him.
Called Ken the double up man.
I was gonna say Ken's gonna be fired in about 3 years.
Well, because DeRozan playing the two.
It's the best pick available.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about right now. They got, I don't know if you got, I'm sure you do. Linus Clayza, James Johnson, Rasul. Before James Johnson was good, Rasul Butler and Allen Anderson. Give me Harrison Barnes. He had a couple of good years before he got exposed.
Getting them checks.
Yep, before he got exposed. He had some good years.
All right, so this is the 9th pick, Detroit Pistons. Detroit basketball. This roster, it's not bad outside of the backcourt. But really, point guard.
Can't hear you.
Shooting guard is what's issue.
You breaking up real bad, man.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like you just kind of going in and out a little bit.
Shoot.
Keep going though.
And I'm gonna go with backcourt. So I'm gonna select Evan Fournier. Seems like y'all could use some good depth as far as point guard because y'all just got Brandon Knight, Will Bynum, and I don't even know the other guy. But yeah, Evan Fournier, he's a good, solid point guard, shooting guard. He can shoot it. He can assist. Yeah, Evan Fournier.
I think I'm gonna throw the first curveball in the draft. I'm looking at what's left over. It's really not much. I wanted to wait. I was hoping Harrison Barnes kept slipping, but he picked him up. I would select along with the therapist with 10th pick with the New Orleans Hornets at the time, Royce White. I think that Royce White came into the league and they didn't properly know how to handle him. But we're talking hindsight now.
Mm-hmm.
If he had proper help and the proper therapy and stuff like that, Royce White was dope.
Better Draymond.
Huh?
He's a better Draymond.
Yes, he is. He was a better Draymond. Exactly. That's exactly right. He just once again they just didn't know how to handle him in Houston, so they ain't really.
But some of his demands, I didn't know how you were gonna really handle them, right? Like, cause like he was saying, like media, he couldn't answer all the questions. He said that he couldn't fly back to back the way that they did, that he wanted to take a bus and things like that. I feel you, because from a talent perspective, I was a big Royce White fan. I just don't know how you would have accommodated everything to make him play comfortable. But I feel you on talent. I feel you on there with you.
And I guess with what's left over, man, like I said, looking at what's left over, I would have taken the shot and just tried the therapy, just to try to see if it worked. I think he was worth that pick. Like I said, like you said, he was a better Draymond Green. He was he was a true point forward, is what he was. This dude's passing skills was second to none.
Yeah. And very natural. Very natural basketball player.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he didn't get a chance to play in the league. I would have loved to really see what he would have turned into. But yeah, the league didn't know how to handle mental health at the time, and while they've gotten better, I think he's been frozen out, and he gets into it like whenever he does interviews. Sometimes he gets into it with the people he's doing the interviews with. So, but yeah, he's a smart guy from all the things I've heard from that I've listened to him on.
He used to play. He was dominant. He was dominant.
Yeah.
He dominant still. All right.
Yeah.
Portland with number 11. So obviously, look, I looked at the roster, and they don't have a point guard, but we gonna roll Ronnie Price for the year. There's definitely gonna be some movement that I'm gonna have to make because we got a couple small forwards that aren't necessarily long term. Like we have Gerald Wallace on this team. We also have Adam Morrison, so Morrison's out of here. So I think this is gonna be the first shocker of the draft. If y'all know me, I know Ken and B go way back. I love this guy. I always felt that he didn't get enough development, even though they developed him. He just didn't have the opportunity where he was drafted. But I'm gonna take Perry Jones III, man. I thought Perry was one of those 3, 4, 5 hybrid guys. Big body, enough ball handling, enough IQ, that he could have been deployed as a weapon. And we saw that year when KD got hurt in OKC. He stepped up in a big way when he was in that starting lineup for the first 12, 15 games of the season. So to me, I always loved his talent. I just never thought he really got the true ability or the opportunity to be that starter, to really mold his game into that. So I'm taking Perry.
Oh man, yeah, I'm looking at this shit. This shit is a struggle, dude. Damn. This shit is a struggle, man. Like seriously. So I'm picking pick number 12 for Houston. Yeah, and they screaming for front court because you got solid backcourt with, and they had Kyle Lowry and Gordon Dragic. You had Kevin Martin, who was like a 25 point per game bucket guy. But I think injuries kind of messed him up, which is why they went with Harden. And we know they made a trade for Harden. Oh man, they had a scene to beat. Their front court was garbage, dude. And it ain't no big man, man. Big man is so obsolete now. Look at this draft. It's horrible.
John Henson ain't horrible.
Huh?
John Henson isn't horrible.
Man, I don't want to pick him at. Well, he got picked at 14th, but yeah, no, man. Henson is not a sexy name. I go with some toughness and some defense. Then at least this is a part of the front court. I go with Joe Crowder. I was looking at either Joe Crowder or Will Barton. Will Barton.
Come on, man! I was just about to pick Crowder.
Will Barton.
I was looking at him or Will, but I'm gonna go with Crowder, man. So I'm going with Crowder. Yeah, some toughness.
Thank you, B, because Will Barton was my guy that I had targeted.
Okay.
I think, looking at this Phoenix team, they need a lot of help. I think a lot of the guys they had were on their last leg. Grant Hill was basically done. Michael Redd was on his way out. So this team needs a lot of work. So I think I could get by with, they drafted the Morris twin the year before. They got Shannon Fry, Robin Lopez, and Gortat were good centers, serviceable centers. So I'm looking at the 3 of the 2, and Will Barton can definitely slide in there and be a good role player for this team as we continue to try to build it out to get to where we can start winning some games. So give me Will Barton.
Man.
Think long, think wrong.
I think he froze.
Oh. he did Draymond Green on that ass.
Real talk. John Henson, I guess, because it's just this team isn't like horrible. You can see they're building on stuff because they got Monte Ellis, a young Tobias Harris, they got Brandon Jennings. So they're looking for more defensive lengths, and that's what John Henson's gonna give you, at least defense and rebounding. So I'm gonna go ahead and I was gonna pick Jay Crowder, but for more depth on the wing. But yeah, I'll just go John Henson.
All right, so it's on me with the last pick of the draft for the Philadelphia 76ers. I proudly select Jeremy Lamb. And the reason why I select Jeremy Lamb with this squad, I'm looking at this team, and it's got Andre Iguodala at the 3. We got Lou Williams, who's a point guard still at the time, along with Drew Holiday. So both of them were there at the point. So it was just lacking a scorer from the 2. And I think, Jeremy Lamb can fill it up. So, and he ain't scared. That's one dude that he has no fear. So he'll shoot the ball at any point in time in the game, and he can make some big shots for you. He did it in Charlotte. So I was happy that he slipped to 15, but I think Jeremy Lamb is a good fit with this roster. Elton Brand was at the center. He might would have made this playoff team if, considering he played like he does now.
Yeah, no, I like that pick. That's a good pick.
All right, that was probably one of the worst drafts outside of the top 10 when you get down to it. But hey,
yeah, not even top 10. Damn near. Nah.
Yeah, we didn't get to
10. Like man, like after you hit like
8.
Yeah, 7, 8 maybe. It's a wrap, son.
I mean, you really only got 3 good players.
Right.
But there's some guys that can play in the draft though.
They're just not franchise changing guys.
Yeah, they're not franchise changing guys, but they can add something to your roster.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Sullinger was a solid player. You know what I'm saying? Tony Roten, I felt was very underrated. Francis Ezeli can, you know what I'm saying? Austin Rivers still in the league getting checks. Thomas Satoransky, he's still in the league getting checks. Jay Crowder, Draymond, obviously. Will Barton. So there were guys There were guys that are still in the NBA now, but definitely, like we said, no franchise changes. It's only
It
like
was
maybe
it was more disappointments than successes. Like you say, Perry Jones was supposed to be a monster. So it was a bunch of them that should have did better than what they did.
yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, FIFO, that's why GMs get paid the big bucks. You gotta figure it out. You ain't never gonna always get a draft with all this talent. Like now I'm looking back on it, these last recent drafts have had a lot of talent. So yeah, like it's crazy.
Yo, Ken, when did we start Dead in Sports? What year?
I think 2013.
So a year after this draft, and I'm pretty sure 13 or 14, I was saying that there's a lot of talent coming in. I'm pretty sure I was not ahead of the curve. And like you said, in the last 2-3 drafts, bro, like we've gotten at least between 3 to 5 franchise changers per draft. Or even if they're not franchise changers, all-star caliber players.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's and I think the NBA and the young players that are coming in, they're only gonna get better. You look at these next upcoming drafts, they're only better and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's our draft. We got one more, or we can keep on going, but the next one we got is 2013, official year of Dead in Sports. So that's the one we got coming up next. Make sure y'all stay tuned for that. But yeah, speaking of basketball, let's get on this Jordan doc.
Well, before we do that, let's because somebody just asked us in the chat. I believe it was Daryl Brown asked us about Jalen Green and the high school kids. I don't think we talked about that on here. I know we talked about it in the chat.
Is that the one who got arrested?
Nah, the G League situation.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So we haven't had a chance to really talk about that. So
go ahead, Nick. Put out your preposterous standpoint out there.
What? That the G League is gonna take over the NCAA?
What happened?
Oh, what you say?
I said it's not gonna happen. The G League won't overtake the NCAA.
I believe the G League right now has scared the hell out of the NCAA.
Nah, bro.
I think,
this is the reason why, because I feel that you are classifying all of the basketball players kind of like the same, and they're not. And only the top 2, maybe 3, are gonna go the G League route, because those guys like have you seen Jalen Green play, bro? This guy he don't know college. The man's stupid. He just needs to physically develop, but the skill set's there. He don't need college. There's always the guys that need college. John Morant wouldn't have went from high school to the G League. John Morant still would have went to Murray State, would have still had to prove himself, and then he would have been a top 2, top 3 pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, only the guys with names are going to go to the G League directly, and that's only going to be 2 to maybe 3 every draft, maybe every other draft. Like, they're not going to pull all of these year-olds to come and hoop in the G League, because that's not what the G League is truly for. The G League is truly developmental for those guys that are fringe guys, or guys that want to get into the NBA. Guys that need total development, like I gave an example in our chat, our GroupMe chat. Jalen Hands, he plays for UCLA. Big time prospect coming out of high school, just was not ready. He was going to enter the NBA draft, and everybody around him said, "Nah, bro, you don't do that." And he went, and he's still at UCLA. Certain guys are going to need multiple years of college, if not just 1, maybe 2. You know what I'm saying? But those definite one and done guys, bro, those are the only ones going to the G League, bro. The G League ain't going to get more than 3 or 4 guys per year.
So your first part of your statement was that the G League is meant to develop guys who are fringe NBA players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Most of the what I'm saying as far as the G League taking over the NCAA is that it gives these young high school guys options as far as where to play and how to make income for how they play. Hold on. Let me get this out. Another part of that is not everybody wants to go to college. Not everybody sees college as the route that they need to go to get to the league, especially if the NBA is talking about reducing it back to 18, and especially if they're already working with the G League to make sure that we're going to give you some bread up front, and on top of that, we're going to pay for your college as well if you do decide to go back anytime. Those are what I believe most of these kids really wanted, was options. I don't want to have to be forced to go into a program like Zion, when I already know I'm going to be the number 1 overall pick. And now I know you're talking about a lot of kids are not like Zion, but the options is what matters. And I think that the G League it's better competition than college, in my opinion. Because like you mentioned, FIFA a while back ago, you're dealing with grown men. So what else can you develop your skills than a program that is built and crafted by the NBA that will be a pipeline to the NBA?
Here's the thing, Nick. This is what makes your argument, in my perspective, weak. Because if these guys that are fringe NBA players need developing, right? You're talking about roster spots at this point. Who has more roster spots per league, the NCAA or the G League?
Obviously, the NCAA.
And how do you develop? Is by playing, right? And
yeah.
in a more euphoric type of world, all of these youngins would be on G League teams and get minutes. That's not what's going to happen. Some of these guys will get onto a G League team and then they can't crack the roster. And then what happens to these guys? Are they able to go back to the NCAA now because, now they're opening up that you can profit off of your likeness and stuff? So are you going to be able to go backwards? Because, again, some of these guys need the they need development. I feel like you're lumping all these. I'm talking about fringe NBA players. I'm not talking about a guy who just got a scholarship to a Division III school. I'm talking about Division III either, bro. Do you know how
I understand, but the NCAA goes past Division I. Like the NCAA is college in general. So of course they're gonna have more roster spots. So that's irrelevant.
But Nick, I'm not even talking D2, D3. If we're just talking D1, there's more roster spots D1 than there are.
Okay, but obviously not every program in D1 isn't a legit program. And I honestly think that now that the G League has been revamped, NBA teams and the whole league in itself are taking it more seriously. I believe at first the G League was a joke. They had to rebrand it from the D League to take it more seriously.
But Nick, you have to understand that there's so many basketball players and certain players just fall through the cracks regardless. NBA, college, high school, all of that, right? The reason why we have a Murray State is for guys like John Morant. The reason why there is a Weber State is for guys like Dame Lillard. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, where did CJ McCollum go to?
He went to, I forgot where he went to.
But it wasn't a basketball school, right?
Yeah.
He was just that nice because coaches sometimes take those gambles on guys. And all I'm saying is that if John Morant coming out of high school made it to Weber, there's no way that if the G League was there, he was going to jump to the G League. Why would he?
I'm saying this. G League will take over the NCAA because we'll get those better stars in there and more attention on there.
It's not going to happen.
Most of those stars are not going to stay in college, bro.
It's not going to happen.
But Nick, there's only 3 to 4 stars every year, bro. Like you're acting like it's 15 guys from high school.
I'm not saying it needs to be 15. All I'm saying is that when you're taking over an industry, it's little by little. It's not one big jump. It's going to be little by little. I
don't think it's going to make that much difference because we already had that happening with these players going overseas.
That's different. That's overseas. This is in the same state.
Right, but what I'm saying is some of them are already going for the money. The G League is not going to be able to afford to pay 20 players to come play. So they're going to get, like I said, they're going to get the top 3 or 4 and give them that money and roll with that. They're not trying to take the whole crop because they don't want to develop these players if college can develop them for them without them having to pay them. That's free.
Well, they're not going to pay anybody anyway. I already know that. That's any business anyway. They're not going to just pay somebody just because they want to come in. They're gonna do their own scouting and their own development. They're legit. Those G League teams are legit teams. Just minor league.
How many elite players are we're talking about here? Just give me a number, estimate.
Like FIFO said, there's about 3 to 5 that come out every year.
3 to 5. So 3 to 5 will be on G League teams. the G League roster is made up of a max of 10 players. We already know that the 3 or 5 players that we're identifying will get on those spots. All those other 3 to 5 guys or everybody else afterwards got to go take their ass to college.
They ain't got to do shit. That's why the whole point. That's the whole point of my argument.
They're going to college then. Because okay, you're right. They don't have to do shit, Nick. But if they ain't in the G League, where they gonna go? Overseas?
Nick, let me ask you this, right? Because you talk a lot about draft capital. And the only way you increase your draft capital is by putting in the work on a platform that multiple people can see, correct?
Yes.
Who has a bigger platform, the NCAA or the G League?
Right now, the NCAA.
And the NCAA will always have a bigger platform.
Always.
They will. I don't know about always. I don't know about
always.
Hold on, Nick. For two reasons. Number one, the G League plays in very, 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 very small cities, right? So it's not like you're gonna have like a whole local backing to a G League
and TV backing either. You ain't gonna have a TV backing either.
You're not a TV backing, like just the financials from the G League are not gonna be there. Number one. Number two, you cannot erase the history that the NCAA has. And you can also not replace the top 10, or I would say maybe the top 5, the top 10 NCAA coaches are better than the majority of the G League coaches, bro.
Right.
And there's one other factor you left out of that. You take these universities, for example. Let's take a university in South Carolina who ain't winning much of anything in basketball. They put 20,000 people from their own school in those stands. So they're going to always have support from within no matter what at these colleges. So you can't.
And you're not going to have that support in G League.
Right.
Because they pulling up to no G League game. Hey, bro, what you doing tonight, man? I'm about to watch this G League game. Ain't nobody doing that. Come on.
You guys are fixated on the short term and not the long term. That's what I am talking about. You guys act like then why did college stop amateurism? Why did they sign that?
Because we live in a society now that our voice at some point in time is gonna swing the pendulum.
Yep.
We live in a time now that I can get on my phone, and because I have 16,000 Twitter followers, I can make a motherfucker respond to me quicker. We live in that era.
Okay.
And because of that era, the NCAA was too antiquated. Like, we got video games, we got all of these things that the NCAA and these universities are profiting off of, that the kids get zero money scholarship, but they don't get zero money for it. That happens if it wasn't for these players. So it's only right now, especially because the voice isn't just, it's global. Now the pendulum, the NCAA got to get with the times, and that's all they're doing. But
hold on, why would they need to get with the times if they already control the whole thing, like for the majority of the part?
I'll tell you why. One, just to add on to what FIFO was talking about, the social justice, the pushback that you had not only from media but political pundits as well. So what that did and what has happened was the market and economics and money forced them to make that change, because those guys they were profiting off of, they are no longer going to get any more. So that's why they have no choice. When that guy made that deal years ago that we talked about, where he did that internship, that was the beginning of the end. So the money is forcing them to change because they're about to lose that money, and they can't stand to do that. They didn't have anybody, because back in the day, there were people talking about the issue and about it being slavery, but the voices are so loud now, and because of the changes that the G League has done, the internships has done, going overseas has done, they have no choice. They're forced to. And I think for me, this thing really comes down to simple numbers. You guys told me there's about 3 or 5 players that will probably get these G League contracts. I forgot how many they have to offer, because I think the G League has a set amount of contracts that they're going to give out. So once those spots are filled, we are left with the remaining pool of players. So then from there, we also look at those other roster spots. So say, for instance, those other pool of players are good enough to be role players on a team, so they want to try to make the G League themselves as a role player, not a star. So in the G League, you have 27 total teams. So with 10 roster spots. So once all of those are gone, what's going to happen to the remaining players left? And to kind of go back to what FIFA was saying with Division One, there are 68 Division One teams with a lot of roster spots. So once those 5 players are gone, once the remaining other guys make or don't make the team, they're gonna have to go somewhere, and it's either gonna be overseas or to college. I mean, it's really that simple.
Because it's a bigger platform, and that's how you raise your draft capital. Now, some guys that may have a name, you know, and they're like, okay, yeah, I can make X amount of dollars in the NCAA, but I actually want to go get my dollars. Yes, some of those people are going to make the decision to go overseas, but by and large, people are still going to go because where else am I going to get better coaching than Coach K?
Right.
Where am I going to get better coaching than Roy Williams? Like, there's still some NCAA. Who's the guy from Michigan State?
Tom Izzo.
Like, bro, Rick Pitino, Larry Brown. Like, where am I gonna get better coaching than that at the G League? So
right.
I feel like you guys are just focusing on where it's at right now and how much of a head start the NCAA has on all this business and all the infrastructure. It's I said in about 5. I think I said 5 to 8. I think this will be.
What does that look like in 5 to 8 years? What are you seeing in your head?
What I'm seeing in my head is that a lot of kids aren't going to overseas. They're actually choosing to go. It's going to be between college or G League. I think that's what the top two decisions are. The overseas, huh?
Why?
Because they're in state. They're at home.
But why do you think more kids are going to go G League than NCAA?
No, I said those are the two choices. But
and I'm not disagreeing there.
Okay,
I agree with that. What I'm saying though is that we've done 2 redrafts, right?
Yes.
Did you say that we had more than 4 stars in either draft?
No, as far as like all stars.
Yeah, more than 4 either draft. In 2011, maybe, but this one, hell no, right? So what happens to all these other guys? They go to college. They're like, if they go into a G League roster, there's going to be a journeyman that has played in overseas and this, that, and the third. That's going to get more playing time than you as a 17, 18-year-old kid trying to make this G League roster. You're going to
and competition will either bust pipes.
Forget all that. Forget all the cliches and stuff like that. Let me ask you this. So right now I just pulled up the top 100 players. So in 5 to 8 years, you're saying the top 100 players that ESPN have will make the decision to go to the G League instead of the NCAA, which means that they will have the talent to play in the G League and the opportunity to play in the G League. Is that what that's what you're seeing happening?
I'm thinking like the top 100 players, their top 2 choices, like do I want to go to college to, like what y'all were saying, to play under Coach K or Tom Izzo or whatever, or do I want to bet on myself, take my chances with the G League and get into a roster spot either within the next year or 2 years?
So what if they don't make the roster spot? What do they do after that?
If they don't make the roster spot, they could probably go back to college.
You only have one or the other.
Yeah, you can't go back to college and play.
You'd be too old by that point.
No, I'm saying like with.
And you're in those.
He's talking about as a high school, coming out of high school.
Okay.
Coming out of high school.
You're going to be ineligible at least 1 year.
Yeah,
you're setting your career back, because if you go to try out for a G League team, let's say you don't make it, you can't just go to a college.
Oh, you're ineligible, period. You can't go back at all. There's no going back. If you go to the G League, you can't go back to college. You're a professional athlete at that point.
And Darryl Brown just said the G League is invite only. I don't know if that's true or not.
So you think that either way,
I think they'll change the rules on the college thing too, as far as going back. If you want to try out after high school, and even if you do have to take that year off, that's a year off.
No, they wouldn't have to, because they've already given players the opportunity to make money off their likeness.
Exactly. See, Nick, like you're catching yourself in a catch-22, because the only way you're going to increase your draft value is by being able to display your talents. 100 dudes are not going to make the G League roster.
I understand that completely. I understand that.
Even if we take the top 50, they're not going to make a G League roster.
I understand that completely. I'm only talking about like the top 15 players in the top 100.
But you know what?
Those are the ones that are going to get invites, right?
Not even top 15.
Even if you're talking 3. Yeah, even if you're talking top 15, I think like what FIFA is getting at is that even the NBA itself would want these players to develop in college as opposed to the G League.
I think the NBA wants these players to develop in general. I think that now that these kids have options, they don't care how they develop as long as they develop, whether that's college or the G League.
I disagree with you because, and I've coached recently. My brother coaches now. Parents are more involved, especially the ones that they take serious, right? They're more involved in what their kids are doing and how they're training and how they're eating, how they're doing a lot of this stuff. And these top 10, 15 guys that we're talking about, they're already at that. They're already thinking about what am I going to do, what colleges, this, that, and the third. Again, you cannot tell me that if Coach K calls you and says, look, this is what I see you as, we're going to develop you, and we're going to X, Y, Z. Unless you're the number one guy, you're not going to get any better development and training in basketball in the G League. So as a business...
You can't say that for sure, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, things are changing.
Hold on. Because we're talking about smart business decisions. The number 10 guy, the number 7 guy in that top 100, if Coach K calls him, you're going to go to Coach K.
Right.
You're going to get paid. You're going to be on a bigger platform than any G League team, and you're going to get better development. And you're going to be able to raise your draft capital. Why would you not take this route?
Because I get that point. And with that point, if that's the scenario, yes, you go with Coach K. However, I don't think that, I feel like you guys are thinking about what does the G League look like now, and you're projecting on what it looks like now. I'm looking at it with the opportunity that they have now with the competition. They're going to get better coaches. They're going to get better organizations.
Where are you going to get better coaching from? Because
with all these retired players that we have coming out of the league, they don't want
better coaching. That don't mean better coaching.
I know that most of the best coaches of the NBA have been former players, have they not?
The reason why, are you talking about the players coaching on the sideline or players playing against those players?
No, players, like, as far as the coaching, it will get better with time. We have a lot of great point guards who retired recently who want coaching gig. And this will be a way for them to get that experience and build their resume up.
I think that you do make some good points. I just think that it's hard to do because it's going to be hard to fill those stadiums up. It's going to be hard to get fans.
It's going to be hard at first, yes.
It's going to be hard, period, because once again, just like any other startup league, you look at XFL, all these developmental leagues for football, developmental leagues don't garner that much respect and attention from fans. That's more for development, but not for the fans. Our fans' interest will lean towards college, and it's going to lean towards the professional ranks. It's not going to be development players. We're not going to ever put that much into the Red Ants as we would into Kentucky Wildcats. It just doesn't. It won't ever add up.
So Shelton, Jay Williams said this about a week or so ago, and I agreed. And this is crazy that I'm about to use this right now. Because the most famous basketball players are either high school players or NBA players. Mm-hmm. They're rarely college players. Because you have so much hype coming out of high school, right? And then obviously when you go to the NBA, you're an NBA player. So whatever. I think that there's certain guys that can go into the G League and fill up a stand. LaMelo Ball would have did that.
Yeah.
Every game he would have played, it would have been sold out.
Yes.
You would have had scalpers in the middle of fucking Idaho trying to get motherfuckers into this damn LaMelo Ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Zion Williamson would have filled in the seats. Cam Reddish, nah. Trey, probably, you know what I'm saying? There's some guys that have so much hype that yes, it doesn't matter where they're played.
My man from Michigan, the lanky dude.
Monty Bates? Yeah. Anywhere he go, he gonna sell out the damn crowd, bro.
He gonna sell out
the crowd. Those are the guys that don't need college. Those are the guys that's gonna go to the G League anyway. They're gonna go to the G League. if not directly to the NBA. We don't know what it looks like years from now, right? But those guys are going to go. Those guys, the path is made. They just got to keep working hard. That's it. The rest of these guys, because there's more of the rest of the guys in the cream of the crop. And all I'm trying to explain to you is that the G League option is solely for the cream of the crop. Because those guys, even against journeyman guys that have already played professional basketball, have already had 10-day contracts in the NBA that know what it's about, they can't overcome the skill set, the level that Jalen Green is right now, because God touched them. Because those guys can perform already at that level.
And
Nick, we got to talk about volume, right? Basketball, when we're talking about sport leagues, stuff like that, it's about volume. The NBA is the cream of the crop. The G League is only going to be the cream of the crop coming in. It's not going to be the entire top 20, bro. It's only going to be 3 or 4. So it's really a very well said. It's only 1 or 2% of the top 100. Why is it going to change immensely? Especially now that the NCAA is paid.
Right.
You can't bridge that gap for me.
Yeah. So where I do agree with Nick, just even looking ahead, is that, and Shelton, is that, yes, those guys, and I guess all three of you guys, the NBA is going to develop that. The NBA is going to take those guys and fill out those stadiums. And Nick is right, because he only said it's going to be about 5 or 10 of those guys anyway. So now going back to what you were saying, FIFO, we still got to place those guys, other guys elsewhere. So the league is going to make those guys in the stars, and the NCAA is going to be for everybody else to get a path to the NBA. So it's going to be almost like a separation of the two, and it's just 2 different paths.
It is. Yeah. That's all it's going to be. The G League isn't going to change much. The G League is just another option, and it's only going to be for the cream of the crop.
And that's where I disagree. I think you have to start off with the cream, because that's what you got to start off with box office. So of course they're going to start off with, we're only going to do invite only. We're going to.
Damn, Nick, what's
he
up
froze
with
up. But yeah, because I wish.
But I also say this, even in saying that, when we talk about the cream of the crop, out of that cream, some of those guys are still gonna go to college, because some of them boys' mamas ain't playing that.
Yep.
And part of the reason why is because now they can make money off their likeness.
Right.
So they have that opportunity. They don't have to go to the G League, because they're not going to get offered a contract.
But the biggest caveat the G League has is that they have partnerships with the NBA already. That's the one thing that the XFL didn't have with the NFL.
That don't matter. That don't matter.
All right.
The NCAA doesn't have a contract with the NBA, partnership with the NBA, and they still get there.
Yeah, because that's who they had to go through. If you want to talk about in-state talent, you had to go through that.
That's not going to change, though. That option won't change.
I'm telling you, when you give people more options, a lot of shit changes.
Well, I think the other thing, you got to also look at the investment. So are you projecting in 5 years that they're going to invest more money? They're going to go from investing money into the 5 players to 10 to 15 to 20? That's not going to happen, because there won't be a return on that investment.
Right. There's no need when you get college developing players.
The return on the investment is, I think, when it comes to these TV contracts coming up again, they will say, look, we need to have a few games from the G League, because we got these players in there. We want to showcase them for the rest of the world, the rest of the country. You have to include some of those games in the contract as well. That's what I'm thinking about.
I'm talking about expanding it beyond the 5 to the 10 or 15 that I think you're saying will happen. They can't make money off those guys. They're not stars.
So you telling me if a Zion level player,
not Zion, Cam Reddish,
they're not gonna show those games at all.
Not Zion, Nick, not Zion. We're talking about 5 to 10 to 15. The guys past Zion.
Nick, this look. When you're talking big business like this, it's not about the top 1%. They're gonna do what the fuck they do regardless. It don't matter what industry, it doesn't matter what business entity, it does not matter. The top 1% is going to do what they do. It's already predestined for them. We're talking about everybody else. The rest of these guys are not going to have a G League like invitational, bro.
When do we ever make decisions on everybody else?
Like
remember going back to our conversation about the CBA with the NFL, and you were saying like you don't really worry about the bottom players. You're talking about the millionaires, the ones who bring a lot of money in, the Russell Wilsons and all that. Those are the ones that can. So when we talk about stuff like that, we only talk about the top one, the 5%, 1%. But when you're talking about everybody else, like college-wise, we don't really even notice them in college anyway. So why would they make a decision?
Football is structured completely different when you're talking about business. They make more money, and the disparity is even larger. So we can't even talk. We can't even compare.
I'm only comparing that as far as the respect level to everybody else. Like when we're talking about high level professional competition, we only talk about the top level guys.
Because they make money.
Talk about the second string or the third string guy.
Exactly. Ken just said it. Because the top 1% makes money. And the thing is that the NBA is not going to invest in numbers 10 through 100.
Then why did they invest in the G League in the first place?
They invested.
Why has the G League been around, or the D League, G League, whatever, for the last 15, 20 years?
Because it develops the mid-level to low-level talent.
They are invested in developing talent.
Probably, or to get to this moment where they can make the offer to the top 5%. That's probably why.
So they're planning on moving forward with this process. You think this is just going to stop right here?
I think it will stop with the top 5% that they can make money off of, yes.
I honestly, goes back to my point. I think the G League is going to have better days by the next decade. By 2030, we're going to look at a lot of things differently.
No, 100%. But see, but what you're saying is that it's going to dim the light on the NCAA.
Yes, it already has. It already has.
It has not.
Why is it not?
Because listen, and you already admitted this. The NCAA will have more top 100 players than the G League. No.
Yeah, right now, yes.
No. They will always. Because the G League is not going to take the top 100 players, bro. They don't have enough room for that.
Yeah, they only going to take the cream of the crops like
I'm only talking about as far as they're going to take away a lot of the shine. The top players that the NCAA wants.
Nick, listen to what I'm saying. Let it absorb.
I hear what you're saying. I'm not just.
And let it out. Breathe it out through the mouth, bro. Look, listen to what I'm saying. And you already agreed. The G League is only going to take the top, let's just say 5 players. Where do the rest of the 95 players go? And again, just like the John Morants, just like the Dame Lillards, there's those guys something that should have been ranked number 3. And guess what? The NCAA wins. They're gonna win because we have 3 or 5 guys here, but they have 95 guys, and then they have, let's say, 7 guys that were misranked that are actually cream of the crop.
It's a numbers game.
So at the end of the day, it's a lottery, right? Like we call the NBA draft lottery. The NCAA will still have more opportunities to hit than the G League will, because the G League are guaranteed. They're not playing that shit. Oh, we're not going to do this guy that was ranked number 70 something. No, we're going to take number 3 and we're going to take number 7 and we're going to take the number 1 guy. We're going to bring them to the G League and we're going to let it do what it do. But the rest of those guys are going to go to the NCAA, and some of those guys are going to be stars and some of those guys are going to be rotational players. But the NCAA will always have more better players than the G League will, bro.
Okay, so you're saying that no matter what the G League does, the NCAA will win regardless.
Yes.
Okay. I disagree with that point wholeheartedly.
Okay, and another reason why is because the G League is more so. It's about the guy that went to 4 years to college and played 2-3 years overseas, and is trying to get into the NBA. That's what the G League is for. It's not for the 17, 18-year-old kid that still needs how to really play basketball.
Not now. Yes, you're right. It's not built for that right now. I agree with you.
What are we talking about?
No, it's not built.
The G League is not going to be post-high school, bro. It's not going to be that. It's never going to be that.
You can never say never. Because you never.
Why would they, though? Like, in your opinion, why would they do that?
Why would they go with high school talent?
Yes.
Because you want to get the idea in kids' heads early. You think these scouts for the NCAA, they start at high school? No.
What idea?
talking about. They go to middle school and back, maybe even further. They're scouting early. You don't think the G League and everybody else doing the same thing? That's what I'm saying. It's like everybody knows exactly what the NCAA has been doing for decades. And they couldn't say much until just now. Now everybody, if they already have a similar blueprint, it's not better.
No.
That's why the NCAA
they stole the blueprint from LeVar Ball.
Nick, let me ask you something. When the high school baseball player gets drafted to the majors, what happens?
He goes to the. Wait, you said what?
When a high school kid gets drafted by Major League Baseball, what's the route?
What, minor league?
Yeah, they either go AAA or AA.
AAA or AA.
Signal A or college sometimes. Even.
Or
yeah.
So what I'm saying is that the path
will always be back to the NCAA.
Huh?
Is that what you're saying?
The NCAA, because it is going to develop you better than any minor league system. Because the minor league system is for guys that are already there on the brink, and not these young cops. They don't have time for these 17, 18-year-old guys, bro.
Nick,
about 2 or 3 of them. And
Nick, pretty much from now to whatever far future you're looking at, they're gonna always get those Imani Bates, Anthony Edwards type guys. Like they're gonna always get those. They're not gonna get the guy that was ranked 77 in high school or ranked 55 or 54. Why? They're gonna go to the Weber State universities, average 35 a game, build that draft stock up, go to UNC's, play for Coach K, build that draft stock up, and then probably be number 1, number 2, number 3 pick in the draft after they sophomore, junior year. But the Imani Bates, Zion, LeBron James, from here on out, in whatever future you're talking about, y'all come on to the G League. Come on to the G League. We don't need college. I'm not going to college. Imani Bates do not need to go to college once he fills out as his senior year. He can actually go to the pros now, really. Right now. He just got to get some man. He just got to get a bit more manpower, but that's it. But those type of dudes, Nick, from here on out, are going to go to the G League. They're going to bring guys in.
What I'm looking forward to is down the line, because the age will get reduced, right? Because it's at 19 right now. It's going to get reduced to 18, right? That's what the conversation has been. So not only will, once that happens, which will probably happen within the next 5 to 8, not only will the college have to deal with the G League or other programs probably coming out in that time, but also NBA will be high school ready again. Like once you graduate and you're an adult in the United States, you can go play for the league, like how Kevin Garnett did, or like how LeBron James did, or Dwight Howard. So again,
you're naming the top of the top. The top of the top.
No, I understand that, but those are just examples as far as like people in high school are ready for the league. You know what I'm saying? And if those players and the players that are drafted outside of the top 15 of the lottery, those players that get drafted go right to the G League as far as for their affiliate team that drafted them, develop, and then when they're ready, come right back up.
But let me put this scenario out there, right? If I'm a top 10, 15, I'm from 5 to 10, or just say from 10 to 15, right? And I got a chance to go to the G League where I may be a starter, I may not be. Or I got a chance to go to Duke, Michigan State, and Kentucky, and I could be a goddamn starter and a star. What do I want to do? I'm going to go to where I could be a starter and a star because my ego says I should be the man. And that's what those top 20 players, when they...
And then plus 2, Ken, they're going to start paying college players.
Yep.
So it's not like they ain't going to get no bread.
Yeah,
and like was getting them bread before, but...
That's true. And what you just said is true more than anything else. We're assuming that the NCAA is not reactionary. There ain't no fools at the NCAA now. I'm sure they have a contingency plan in place. Mm-hmm. In case the D-League steps it up, NCAA going to step it up too. And they got backing. They already got it. So they coming. They're not sitting there like idiots, like, what we going to do? No, they already know what they're going to do. If it goes this way, we're going to do this. If it goes that way, we're going to do this. But they got plans in place. They hold all the cards right now.
The culture and the culture relevancy of the NCAA is too hard to knock off.
Exactly.
G League is not going to be must-see TV. Like You know what I'm saying?
Like the tournament, bro. Do you understand that the NCAA tournament is on par with the Super Bowl?
Yes.
More people bet on the tournament than they do the Super Bowl.
You ain't taking the money for them white folks, man. White folks gonna get their bread.
That's not going
They ain't going nowhere.
And earlier I was talking about business decision, right? If I go to the G League or the NBA and I flame out and I didn't get past my rookie contract, how much bread I got, and then what do I have to fall back on? If I go to college for 2 or 3 years, I got all this bread, plus I went to the NBA, I flamed out, I'm a year or 2 or a year and a half away from graduating anyway. Plus I got this dough.
So what kind of player are you talking about, FIFO?
Huh?
What kind of player are you talking about? You said I got all this bread from college.
Any player that decides to go to college.
Any player?
The top 100, number 10 and back.
And you think the top 100, all those players are going to get paid?
The majority of them will.
What's the majority?
All of them, pretty much.
So you saying all from 1 through 100, they all gonna get paid like what? Because to me, paycheck is what's gonna be the difference as far as where do I go?
But Nick,
again, most of these kids.
But what they'll be able to do now, based on the changes, kind of going back to what Shelton has said, is that they'll be able to make money off their likeness. They wasn't able to do that before. So whether they get paid from somebody else or whether they go find it themselves, they'll be able to get a check.
Yeah, but we were talking about talent disparity at first, and that's what I was using FIFO's point. I was asking him the same questions he was asking me. Not everybody's gonna get a big paycheck like that. Not everybody's gonna get playing time, regardless of where you go.
But a paycheck nonetheless, because if you went to college 4 years, you wasn't getting paid shit anyway.
Yep.
So regardless if it's $1,000 a month or $100,000 a month, bruh, you getting paid to play ball.
Exactly.
And on top of that, you're working toward a college degree.
Well, come on, that's bullshit. We already know nobody gives. No, that's bullshit because we know they're not going there for a college degree.
But
we know that.
But number 10 through 90, this shit is not guaranteed for them, bro. It's not.
I understand that, but that's on them.
A lot of those guys aren't even one and done. They're going to be 2 or 3 year players. How many years did Dame Lillard play? How many?
Is he the exception or is he the rule?
But there's more.
Is he the exception or is he the rule?
Ja Morant, Dwayne Wade.
There's all exceptions.
They're not exceptions. They're not exceptions.
How are they not exceptions?
They're not exceptions because we're giving you a list of players that have went to college and came out of big guys. Draymond Green, all of these guys. What? They're not exceptions because it's shown that the NCAA can give guys like that the opportunity to develop and grow over 3 to 4 years.
I understand that. All I'm saying is that those guys, no one's going to stay in the NCAA for 3 to 4 years like they are anymore. I don't see that happening, especially when you talk about being paid and being money involved. Everybody's going to go with where the money's at. The only reason why most of those guys stayed is because it benefited them because down the line, it would help me with my draft capital. How's that not?
You know what? Like you're the person that by like banning drugs, people ain't gonna use drugs. Like no, bro. Just because the shit is open doesn't mean that the floodgates open. That doesn't equate.
Dame Lillard played 3 years in college.
The only difference is instead of going to college, the top 5 niggas, they're gonna go to G League, bro. That's the only difference. They ain't gonna be that much. They ain't gonna be that big of a difference, bro. It's not gonna be that big of a difference, dog.
All right, we'll see.
Dame Lillard played 3 years in college before.
Dame Lillard played 3 years. John Morant played for 3.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for most players? When we hear that about most players,
it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
No, it's not. Because when we see a
Nick, it depends on the player. It depends.
Draymond played all 4 years at Michigan State.
That's what I wanted you to say, FIFO. It depends on the player, right?
That's all I've been saying.
No, I understand it, and I'm agreeing with you. What I'm saying is that I don't see those. Those are anomalies, though. Those are not the real.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I'm taking those guys out. I'm taking the LeBron, the Zions, all of those guys out. But the Dame Lillard, John Morant wasn't rated as a top 100 player going into college.
And what I'm saying is that if they have the option to make if the money is somewhat similar, they're gonna go with the G League over college.
Why?
Because college is for the most. Let me ask you a question.
I can't even let you finish, bro. Let me ask you this: do you think that John Morant would have been a top 3 pick if he would have went to the G League or Murray State?
I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you the answer. The answer is Murray State. You know why? Because when he drugged that bum ass team to the damn tournament and won again, there's nothing that he would have been able to do in the G League to overcome that.
I disagree with that. Because he wasn't getting recognized at Murray State until he got to the tournament. So with the G League, he could have probably done.
No, that's my point. People on him all
He would have had better competition, and he would have got a scout. He would have had more playing.
No. You know what would have happened? The scouting report would have said he's too small. He's not even a starter on his own G League team. X, Y. They would have killed the man. They would have killed the man. Come on, Nick.
I'm saying this. If my goal is to get to the NBA, which pretty much all the players that we mentioned, that was their goal. I'm gonna go to a place that helps benefit me the most, and I think moving forward it will be the G League.
Hey.
But Nick, I done gave you so many reasons why the NCAA for the majority of players is a better option.
I agree with you right now. The NCAA is a better option.
In the future?
I am projecting. All my shit is for projection. Yes, I could be
Nick,
wrong.
at the end of the day, like I said, dog, look, Coach K ain't gonna coach for another 10, 15, 20 years. All the Tom Izzo, all of these guys are still gonna coach. None of the G League coaches are better than the top tier NCAA coaches, bro. None of them.
Not right now. Not right now. I agree.
Man, I pulled up.
It won't be. Because why is a top talent head coach gonna go coach for the G League?
I'm not saying
he's
gonna be top 10 off rip. I'm saying you got to develop. The coaches have to get the opportunity to develop as well.
They're gonna get developed coach in college. That's where they're gonna make all the bread at. You ain't gonna hear no G League making 20 mil a year. You know what I'm saying? Like the college coaches.
And if he has,
it's never gonna happen.
I agree.
It's never gonna happen in the future either.
We don't know.
but how beneficial is that if you're getting coaching from a developmental
minor
coach?
league baseball player make more than a
We're
major
not
league
talking
baseball
about
player,
a
bro.
regular minor league type of organization or whatever. This is probably the most stable and structured minor league, maybe outside of baseball. But for right now, we're talking about big sports, the ones that get most of the ratings, because baseball don't get as much ratings like they used to. Bruh, this is better than what the NFL doesn't have this. The NBA is right now a global brand. They are reaching out and they're trying to scout as many kids.
Hey, wait, real quick. I looked up.
Gonna be filling out seats at Idaho or whatever small city they're gonna be in.
This is where I'm gonna kill. Is the G League the second best basketball league in the world?
Not right now.
Bro, not ever. Not ever.
You keep saying ever. I projected. Everything you guys are saying right as far as
I understand
right
projections.
Yeah,
I understand projections.
I think that in the future,
based off of your projection, you're talking about taking all of these 17, 18, 19 kids, putting them into the G League. They're going to be better than the FCB league in Europe and Spain. You got grown-ass men. But motherfuckers like, not just come from? Like, bro, no, bro. Like, the G League is never going to be the second best league in the world.
Right. Like what you saying, Nick? You pretty much saying that G League is gonna be must see TV in another 10
I think so.
years.
I think so.
Man, I pulled up the 2011 ESPN Top 100 high school rankings. 15 of those players went to the NBA. And probably 5, and I can probably count on one hand how many became stars.
Case closed. Case closed.
So those guys that became stars, if there's 5 of them, only 3 of them are going to get an invite, bro. Only 3. The rest of them guys, all of them guys,
it's just like that every year.
Dog. And here's the thing, and you know for me, I've been saying for years now that the talent is so much better coming into the NBA. But it's still not going to be 17 stars.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Whole freaking lottery full of damn all-stars and superstars. That's never gonna happen.
Mr. 50, 40, 90, Malcolm Brogdon was ranked 73rd on that list. He went to Virginia. He won't make the G League.
If he was coming out of high school, he would go to the G League.
No, he would not. No, he would not. No, he would not.
Malcolm Brogdon.
He went to Virginia. Because they were probably one of the few schools that would offer him a scholarship.
Ranked number 74. He ain't going to no damn G League.
Ryan Boatwright.
He's not.
He's not going to the G League.
Trey Burke was 84.
They made him.
Amir Garrett was 99. These guys ain't going to the G League. Ryan Anderson was 93. They can't go to the G League. They were barely able to make the NBA.
Right.
They were barely able to play in college.
Some of these kids,
No, Trey Burke was a beast in college.
It took him a while, though, right?
He was nice.
What you mean? He was the best player on that Michigan team.
The first year out?
He was better than Tim Hardaway.
In year one? In year one.
When they went to the championship,
No, year one, his rookie year, his freshman year. He was the best player on that team?
Freshman year.
Tim Hardaway was.
He needed time to get there.
The top one ain't getting invited to the G League, and they're not even gonna have the option to go to the G League, Nick.
And they won't develop like they would in college.
Malcolm Brogdon without going to the NCAA.
Right.
Without Virginia, Malcolm
roster,
Brogdon.
bro.
That's why I asked y'all the question. So the only way to develop, regardless, is through the NCAA.
No, the only way to develop is to play the game of the sport that you're trying to become a pro in. That's the only way to develop. And if you can't play, you're not going to develop. And if they
can't develop in the G League, is that what you're saying?
You're not going to get playing time.
You can, but what I'm saying is not everybody's going to take that route.
Okay.
You're going to see a couple people take that route, in my opinion, but you're not going to see this mass influx of college play. I mean, these players coming into the G League straight out because I don't think they want the G League to be
or to the NBA because you know what, Nick? The NBA learned their lesson the last time when they was drafting all these damn high school players, and look at how it said their franchise is back.
Yep.
They don't learn that shit. You know what? We might want to take a flyer on you, but you know you got to play G League first. But we ain't gonna draft you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It might do something like that, but just a whole influx of the G League now becoming one of the best leagues in the world is not going to happen, bro. It's not designed for that, and in all honesty, it cannot be that because at the end of the day, talent is going to go, like you said, where the money is. And guess what? All of these other minor leagues in the world, they're for the talent. Therefore, Dalton to know this. It's show. And Ken, hold on, Ken. Trajan Langdon. Beast NCAA player. Couldn't even smell the NBA. Yep. Even tell me out of high school, he wouldn't have took the G League. He still would have went to college.
Adam Morrison.
None of these high school guys.
JJ Redick.
None of these high school guys can beat those guys if they were on G League rosters, bro.
Now, Malcolm Brogdon, we know he can play in the NBA. He's proven it. It took him 4 years to develop in college. In high school, here are the 14 teams. And I'm not going to even read the whole list because I could probably stop halfway through. Virginia, obviously, where he committed, Arkansas, Butler, Clemson, East Carolina, Georgia, Harvard, Minnesota, Notre Dame, Providence. Do you think if those are the teams, there's no top NBA team on here. Do you think that if no top NBA team offered him a scholarship, that a G League team would take him? If he's getting those type of offers, it's not going to happen.
And if that man got an offer from Harvard, his mom ain't going to let him not go to college.
Vanderbilt, Tulane, Virginia Commonwealth. These are the type of schools that was recruiting him. G League don't want nothing to do with him.
We gonna see.
G League looking at Imani Bates though.
Hell yeah, they are.
They looking at him.
They draft contract.
Yep.
All right, let's get into this last dance.
Y'all got me hype, man. Let's go hoop, man. You see the shirt I got on? Let's go.
If they didn't, we was about to hit y'all up, but they took all the rims down. I don't know when they're gonna put the rims up again. We was ready to go this past weekend. We ready.
Man, y'all motherfuckers.
Oh, y'all don't know what you, man. Hey, that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, the last dance. We got episode 5 and 6 this past weekend. Mostly, I believe that these episodes, at least these two, had to deal with the rise and fall of the Jordan brand. Not the rise and fall, but the how Teflon Jordan's brand was, and then how the media kind of turned on him during that the first three-peat, the 93 championship run. Because episode 5 talks about basically like how the Jordan brand became. Like they talk about him getting the Nike deal and how crazy that situation was. But I wanted y'all to just ask y'all that question as far as, is there another, like, will there be another better athlete or an athlete like Jordan as far as brand wise?
No.
No, never. Never.
Not even
No.
moving
Can't come
forward.
close. Can't come
No,
close, dog.
that was the perfect storm.
Whenever you can drop shoes at the drop of a hat and people, that shit will look like a festival at the malls for people getting those shoes forever. Not because now you're getting kids that never even witnessed them that's lining up to get Jordans. Like that brand is strong forever, dude. That shit is strong.
That was the perfect storm. Like I said earlier, you know, Nike could have would have went out had they not signed Jordan. Nike was on his way down, and him signing with Nike elevated them both. Plus, they made that shoe that was banned. That right there is what catapulted the whole thing. Plus, Jordan had, like he said on the show, he had to live up to that name. If he didn't hoop, it wouldn't have happened. So all of that put together is what made that brand successful. Then the shoe kept evolving. But there'll never be another shoe that – this shoe is never going anywhere. It's going to come back, and it's going to come back. And they had the perfect marketing strategy behind it, and it's just going to be hard to repeat that ever again in history.
Yeah, and I think because we live in such a society now that, you know, I could just pick up my phone and make a commercial where a lot of these athletes now kind of control the narrative. Jordan did that, but with the company like Shelton was saying, that was kind of fledgling, and they needed something to gravitate towards. And again, just same thing that Shelton said, it was a perfect storm of the timing of everything. We're never gonna see that again, because if there was no Michael Jordan, there would be no Nike, right? And you can't say that for any brand now. You can't say that for like the talent that's coming in now. I don't think nobody's ever going to revolutionize the game in all facets the way MJ did. Now, there's going to be guys that are close. Like the second leading shoe salesperson is LeBron. But Jordan does 3 times what LeBron does. Right. And Jordan hasn't played for 20 years. And I think that Zion could be close. And that's the reason why I had an issue with Zion signing with Jordan brand, because it's like, how do you brand yourself?
Yeah.
You know, the way Jordan did. You're signing under another personal entity. Nike is just a brand. It's just a company. But when you sign under Jordan, you're signing literally under Michael Jordan. How can you surpass that? I don't think you can. I think there's going to be guys that are going to be close in terms of sales and stuff like that, but nobody's ever going to be as iconic. Like, I think even 20 years from now, like when I'm almost 60 years old, kids are still going to be buying the retro Jordan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? People ain't going to, once LeBron is done, they're not going to buy his shoes like that. Maybe there are a couple of pairs that do have crazy pandemonium about them. Those are probably sell.
But not consistent. Yeah.
Right. And the way they release those shoes, like, you know, I worked at Foot Locker for years, of course. The way the shoe is treated, like it's gold, and seeing those lines out there, that stuff, you know, in some stores only got like 20 pairs. You got 20 here. You got some stores with 40 over here. So like, it wasn't like a shoe that you can just, supply never met demand. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant marketing ploy, and it worked for years to come, and it still will. So it just won't happen again.
Mm-mm.
And that's why it made me think about this as far as like, is MJ still the most popular basketball player today?
I think so. I think he will always be that, because it's not just him, it's his likeness. You know what I'm saying? For that reason, it's going to be hard for anybody to surpass. LeBron is the only one that can come close. But
that's only because he's playing?
Yeah, he's playing, and he's smart with his business. But Jordan is just so far. Jordan is known by his just that Jordan. You know what I'm saying? He's known by that name. So, and whether you know basketball or not, you know Jordan. So that's what separates him. So he's bigger than basketball.
Shelton, if Nick is asking, like today, right now, who like, are there basketball players more popular than MJ? I would say today, yes. I think overall, no. I don't think nobody's gonna ever be more popular overall than MJ, just because of everything that he's done. But if we're talking today, and you look at these little kids, everybody want to be Steph, because in the game, Jordan changed the game for us. And I think today, right now, Steph is more popular than any basketball player playing.
And to add on, like, this is a history lesson for a lot of current basketball fans and alike. They heard of Jordan, but to them, Jordan was like Dr. J and guys like that to me. Like you heard about them, but you didn't really get a chance to see them play in their prime. So for them, they're just not really witnessing what this guy was really like. They only saw Kobe, Steph, LeBron,
right.
So those are their idols.
So let me ask y'all something, especially you, B. Let me ask you, do you think that this is diminishing Jordan's value from watching this? If I never saw Jordan play, would it be worse for me to be watching this or better?
It'd be better. I mean, I don't think it's. Why would it be worse? I think they do a good job of showing like his mentality, and for kids who understand that it wasn't no social media back then, like what he had to deal with as far as the pressures, like you mentioned, him living up to that name, him living up to trying to mentally be prepared to win a third championship, try to three-peat, which was tough. So no, I think that's a good thing. I don't think this is anything where it's going to be diminished. I think it's a great thing because it'll put things in perspective. Like, damn, like he was doing all this or going through all this, and like, when you win championships, they understand that teams are really hunting for you. So you got to play smarter, you got to run faster, you got to do whatever to try to get that three-peat. I mean, and Jordan admitted that it was mentally draining him that third time. And I think that's for any basketball player that's had a long run each NBA season consecutively. So like just think, consecutively, you playing basketball from late September, early October into June, and then not to include his he played the Olympics right after that 91-92 season, win championship back to back. Right, a week after that, you getting ready to train for the Olympics. Then after the Olympics is over, you gotta go and haul ass for a three-peat after against a team in Phoenix. And I mean that was tough, man. Like stuff like that, man. I think it's great to see. What's up, Miles?
So Ken, since we talk about the kids, have you watched this Jordan documentary with your kids?
No, I haven't.
Why didn't you decide to do that?
It's me time.
Yeah, because most of the time they're asleep. So, but yeah, it's funny because they know LeBron James. They be running around here saying that thing that kid said, LeBron James. They say Kobe when they throwing stuff, but Kendall loves Jordans. So it's like it's almost like it's in three tiers in terms of how they impact their life culturally. For Kendall, it's all about Jordan shoes. That's all he likes. That's a cultural thing in terms of fashion. LeBron is, the now in terms of the meme. Kobe, I think mainly because, the kids are saying that he just passed. So whenever they shoot, they do that and stuff like that. So.
And I think that was why they put that clip of Kobe in the first episode or in episode 5 early, as far as him saying like, look. Because he mentioned that there was a story as far as someone asking him, could you play MJ one-on-one and beat him? He was like, look, everything that you see of me, I got from him. And I think that's like to me, that was like the sentence that summed up this whole documentary. Like everything you see from your favorite player, they got from him. Like after his legacy, after his championships, and you just listen to how his dedication to the game. You got Larry Bird calling him God, like, early on, before he even won a title. So it's like, wow, this man was respected by everybody.
That part, I'm sorry to cut you people, but that part sent chills up my spine watching Kobe talk about Michael, because you never really knew how that relationship was. They kind of kept that under wraps, so you always thought that Mike was hating on Kobe if you listen to certain people talk about it. But for Kobe to talk about him in that way, that was just crazy. To say that Michael was his big brother for real, and not just in in a show form. You know what I'm saying? That was crazy to me, man. And the fact that he said that, like it wouldn't be no me without him. That's that Jeezy line. I'm your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. That's who Jordan is to basketball, and that was crazy, man. That was just crazy. I saw something I meant to share with y'all earlier, where it was saying that the interviewer had to fight with Kobe to get him to talk about Michael. He wouldn't even talk about it. But I forgot to share that with y'all, and I forgot to read it myself too. So
Yeah, but I think one of the biggest things, especially after watching 5 and 6, that you take away, Nick, and I'm glad you pointed this out, is that the reason why people say Michael Jordan is the GOAT is because everybody before him, during him, and even after him make him the measuring stick. You want to be great, you got to pass this guy. You want to be great, you can't lose in the finals. You want to be great, you got to score X amount of points. You want to be great, you got to be clutch. You want to be great, you got to do what Michael Jordan did as good as him, if not better. And I think that that's something that even Isaiah Thomas, the Detroit Pistons, like deep down, everybody knows, damn, if I want to be the best, we got to be better than this guy. And I think that to have that type of admiration while you're playing, that's extremely tough. That's a high bar to always live up to. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, and I'm not trying to make it a versus thing, but that's why I always say LeBron is the only other person, in my opinion, that can even smell Jordan's plateau, because nobody was under more pressure than Mike or LeBron. Those are the two most pressure-packed players to have all of this on their shoulders to actually go out there and perform night in, night out. Every night, these guys, they put on the show.
Yeah, Kobe was Kanye. Like without Jay-Z, there's no Kanye.
Right.
And that's what I got from that. That was his big brother. He made a song about it.
Well, even Charles Barkley, like that was the most humble I've ever seen him when he was like during that finals run, like, when Phoenix against the Bulls, he was like, that was around the only time that I could say that someone was better than me at basketball. And like to hear him say that in his MVP season, that's insane. Yeah. Going back to the Nike thing, I had a question. Could MJ, would he been successful with any brand, or was it like Shelton, you were saying, was it just like lightning in the bottle, perfect timing, everything worked out for it? Like, because Adidas was his #1 choice, and I was just thinking, like, what would he have done with Adidas? Would it be the same type of thing?
I don't think so. And like I said, the only reason I say that is because, like I said, it was the perfect storm. When they put that shoe out and it got banned, they built the campaign around that shoe being banned, and that kind of elevated the shoe in itself. It made it something to go get. I don't know if Adidas could have had that same impact. First off, I don't know if they would have made a shoe that was as radical as Nike was trying to be with the shoe. And Nike puts a lot into their shoes. Like, they put, man, when I went to, I had to, like I said, I worked at Foot Locker, managed Greenbrier for some years. And going to the Nike headquarters, I was able to sit with designers and have them talk about how they develop and the stuff that they do. It's not just putting the shoe out because it looked cool. Every shoe is a freaking story. From beginning to end, from the tip of that shoe to the base, it's a story. And Nike put so much into that. It was just brilliant. And then, like I said, when the shoe got banned by the NBA, they built that campaign around it and put that out like, we banned. And everybody jumped on it without social media, mind you.
I was going to say, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was, the first thing that came to my mind was yes. And the reason why I thought that initially was because of what Jordan said. The shoe wouldn't have been shit if he was shit. So he made the shoe what it was, and the other stuff that you were talking about, Shelton, added on to it. But without Jordan's play on the court and the things he were doing, you wouldn't have gotten to that point. But the reason why I'm kind of second guessing that is because Nike wasn't established, and I don't think he would have gotten the same deal. And that's why I don't think it would have been different.
And you know what, Cam? I'm glad I'm going behind you, because you know that when you are a company that's on the rocks and possibly a golden ticket has been given to you, you're going to do everything to make sure that this person's happy, and we're going to revolutionize, because we don't have nothing to lose. Adidas was at the time the biggest shoe or sneaker shoe company. We already know Adidas as a global brand through soccer. If they would have took on MJ, it would have been like, bro, we got Run DMC, we got all of these soccer players. Why are we gonna give you like this shoe? We're just gonna rebrand our basketball name. You know what I'm saying? Like they wouldn't have went into how deep they went into, like Shelton said, all of the stories behind the one. One was the band joint. 2, got injured. But the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, like the design, everything had stories behind it. And then, even to the point that you said, Ken, where MJ said that the shoe wouldn't have been anything if I wasn't anything. Just think about all of the iconic moments after the fact. The double nickel, the Jordan 10, when he went back his last game in New York and he wore the Jordan 1s. You know what I'm saying? And scored 50-some points, even though it's all of that type of stuff. I don't think it would have happened in the same exact way. He would have signed with Reebok, Adidas, or any one of those joints, man. I think Nike, again, perfect storm. Like, they needed that. They needed a life, and that's what
people, I want you to speak on, as far as like more so the episode 5, the environment of Chicago during that time of Like Mike.
So I was like a kid, so it wasn't like I was roaming the streets and stuff like that. But I could tell you that everybody had on a pair of J's, was rocking Chicago Bulls attire, hats, jerseys, stuff like that. Everything was like, it's like the Blackhawks and the White Sox and the Cubs didn't exist when Michael Jordan was in town. You know what I'm saying? Everything was about the Bulls. I remember all 6 championships, like, because I lived in the inner city, bro. Like, all of the roads, you would just hear people honking, beep, 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 beep. Like, it was just a party. I think the way everybody felt about MJ, every kid, at least all of the kids that I put in basketball and stuff like that, that's everybody wanted to be MJ. Everybody practiced MJ. So I think that what the relationship Michael Jordan had with the city, outside of a few players, like, there's never a connection to like one city.
So it was crazy because like they built episode 5 was like, all right, this is the build up of MJ, and in episode 6 we start seeing like the reality of being human and being a star. Like, we hear about his gambling addiction, or what he would like to call it, his competition addiction, and we hear more about his political stances and stuff like that. I wanted to get your thoughts, B, as far as like why do athletes need to speak up on social issues, especially like Black athletes? Like, why were people looking at MJ to be that next voice?
I mean, because he was, at that time, he was the most influential Black athlete during that time. Like, it was no athlete that was more influential than Michael Jordan. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. They wanted to get his shoes. They wanted to play ball like him. They wanted to stick their tongue out like him. Like, he was so influential. He was like the Michael Jackson of NBA. Like, everybody, he was just that dude. Everybody wanted to be him. Everybody wanted to be him. So I think that's why people, especially the Black community, wanted him to speak up on social issues, because it's like, dude, Black folks, we putting money in your pockets by supporting you, getting your shoes and going to your games, buying your jerseys. Like, Jordan had a lot of Black dollars. I mean, I know he had white dollars too, which is why he was as popular as he was. But Jordan had it was a lot of Black faces across all cities in the U.S. I can assume. I mean, I'm just speaking for Detroit and cities like D.C. and Cleveland. Like, they were all like, it was all Jordan fanatics. So yeah, he was very influential in the Black community, man. So I think that's why people were kind of like looking to him to kind of speak on social issues, because it's like, yeah, we like, a lot of us putting money in your pocket. So like, what you gonna do?
Do you think it's a fair exchange with that?
You said, do you think it's a fair exchange?
Yeah, like if we put money in if we help build up your brand, you should look out for us in the back end. Like, we should always look for our athletes to speak out. Like, is it right for them to have to feel that burden?
I mean,
that's tough.
This is for everybody.
I mean, oh man, I guess it just depends on the athlete. I mean, sometimes, yeah, I feel like if we're the reason you're the multi-millionaire, soon-to-be billionaire athlete that you are, I think giving back or doing something at some point, it's a must. It's like a must.
Yeah,
Black athlete.
It doesn't have to be all social,
right?
Necessarily with the activist cause. You got to give back though.
Like LeBron built a freaking school. He don't have to do no more giving. This man built a freaking school for underprivileged kids. Like,
right.
So checkmate.
he doesn't have to speak out on politics because he's taking actual actions.
Right.
So, and to build on what you said, Muhammad Ali was the GOAT of his time, and he was an activist. So that's why I think people look to Jordan to do kind of the same thing, because he was the GOAT of his time, and Muhammad Ali was so outspoken on social issues. They felt like Michael should have done the same, based off where he was placed on the pedestal. Muhammad Ali is on this top tier pedestal. Michael Jordan was on this top tier pedestal, and they were kind of looking for him to kind of make a stand. And when he didn't make one, you know, no words can be bad sometimes. And I think that's kind of what hurt him. Also, when he does give, he gives silently. He doesn't give to where it's all known what he does. I'm sure, I know he does. I know he gives back. But he doesn't broadcast it. He doesn't say, well, I built the school. He could have built the school too. I think we would know about it, but I'm just saying what he does goes under the radar sometimes, and that can hurt him too. But he's managed to survive this long.
Yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts. I don't know if you remember when the quote came out, or just even retrospect, about when he was saying that quote that came out as far as like Republicans buy Jordans too. What would I know? I've heard that quote before, but seeing this documentary, it elaborated on that, and while that was probably taken out of context, I wanted to see, like, did that change your mind as far as when they explained that story?
Well, I was a Jordan hater, so for him to get that negative press, you know, I liked.
You sleep at night.
But no, it didn't make me think any less of him overall. I think in watching the documentary, hearing him talk about it all these years later, he's very unapologetic about it. He don't give a damn. He don't give a damn about what y'all think, about what he said. So, and he said the vibe I got was, I said what I said, and that was it. And the thing about it is that, you know, what made that so disappointing is that I think that was from his own, from North Carolina, which is where he was from, and that was an easy guy to say was bad. So, you know, he could have easily dismissed him because he had a very bad record. So it wouldn't have been hard to go against him because he had things that he could actively point to, especially as a black man. But no, I didn't think any differently from him back then.
So what about the rest of y'all?
No, I didn't think any different for MJ. And again, like, I was young, so I didn't really understand like the social type of stuff. But looking back at it, you know, Jordan and Charles Barkley are the main ones that they didn't necessarily want to be role models. I think it just comes with the stardom and the fame and, you know, everything that. But I think to each their own. I don't think that anybody, it should be forced to have to be the voice of people if you don't choose to be that. And I think Jordan had every right to not do it. And can you slam him for it if that's your opinion? You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for somebody outside of your own household to look to as a leader, of course, you might feel a certain type of way. But at the end of the day, I think some people don't want to play that game, man. And I think especially back then, it was more damning because, again, without social media, you can't control your own narrative. I think the reason why, I'm not going to say it's easier, but I think the reason why LeBron does get into a lot of these type of things is because it came from my Twitter account or it came from my IG. Like, you can't spin it. Like, this is exactly what I said, and it's documented. And if he needs to go back on something, he can do that, like the China thing, like the coronavirus thing. You can go back. Back then, once the story is out, that's it. Like, there is no, like, Jordan didn't have the ability to always exactly say how he wanted to say when he wanted to say it. So for him choosing to be the voice of the people, I get it.
Yeah, I just felt that, because like you were mentioning, Charles Barkley was the same way. Like, we kind of forced some of these athletes to be the voice or the beacon for our issues or for what goes on in our lives, almost to to the point where it's like you look at everything Jordan was going through as far as questioning every time he'll get out the locker room, are you retiring? Are you coming back to the Bulls? And then on top of that, you throw in this political stuff. It's like this man was stressed out. I can't think of, and it makes you think about LeBron James and even other players that came after that era about how much they have to deal with, let alone like now you're asking me about my own personal thoughts and lives, and it's like I don't have to divulge that to you. So I thought that was a really good part of the documentary, that episode. And then moving forward, we get to talking about his gambling addiction, or what people see as a gambling addiction. I wanted to get y'all thoughts on, like, do you think he has a problem, or is it more of a competition thing?
I think
competitive. I say competitive more so than anything, because I mean, if he had a gambling addiction, I mean that's a damn good addiction. Because I think Jordan even said it. Like if he had a gambling addiction, he'd been
be broke
in a bad. He'd be in a bad space. Usually when someone is in a gambling addiction, they losing homes, losing whatever. And I mean, granted, you say it's Michael Jordan, but if Michael Jordan gambled like that, Michael Jordan was putting up big money. It wasn't like he was putting up $2,000, $1,000. He was betting on some big shit. So if it was an addiction, we would have been like, damn, Jordan, like what the hell? His house is on for sale? Like what's going on?
Man,
like,
that man got an addiction, man. He got an addiction.
I think it's competitive though. I mean,
he's definitely the most competitive person on the planet. I believe that with my heart. Michael is the most competitive man on the planet. But I think he has a gambling addiction because he continues to gamble. The thing of it is, like somebody said on there, $10,000 to Michael Jordan is like $10. So big money to him is not big money to us. So he's gambling, not to the point where he's losing it all, but he's still gambling big money. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think the gambling stopped, no matter what was going on. I mean, this man during the playoffs at 2 a.m. was in Atlantic City. So
I know. Can you imagine how that would have went over in social media? Like,
if LeBron went to Atlantic City before that Mavs game or whatever, that series.
I mean, yeah, that series because they lost. On Jordan saving grace that they still whooped ass, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Winning cures everything. Winning will make people forgive and forget. If you start winning, whatever all that. But if you lose, that's just gonna be piled on and piled on. So if LeBron would have went to Miami strip club when they won those back-to-back finals in Miami, it wouldn't have been no big deal. LeBron went to strip club after game 2. Oh, snap. But they won. But like you said, Nick, if he did that shit during the Dallas series, oh, yeah, that would have been like amplified times a million.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham.
Odell Beckham on the boat. That's exactly
Odell Beckham. They lost after he had the boat trip. If they would have won the Super Bowl, they wouldn't even care about that boat trip. That boat trip would have been sucked up under the rug so damn quick.
And here's another thing too. Like wins and losses aren't always just a one-player thing. But like if Jordan would have did whatever he did and came back, he would score 60 points, did it efficiently, hit clutch shots, but they lost. That's different than looking bad and losing. Like Odell. Yeah. Odell looked bad and he lost.
And he lost, right.
Yes.
If you look good and you lose, okay, we lost.
But didn't Jordan sound like a player that was addicted though? He was like, if I wanted to, I could quit whenever I wanted to.
No, that interview where he spun it and he was like, I don't have a gambling addiction, I got a competition addiction, whatever. I was like, yeah, that don't sound good as far as like.
But I think what Jordan is saying is that it's not always about the money. I just want to be able to prove that I can beat you, and I could bet against you, and it doesn't have to be money. Like Shelton, I bet I'll make 10 free throws right now.
Yeah,
you gotta give me 10 push-ups or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what Jordan is trying to get at. That it's not always about the money. It's just that when you have the money, and obviously the circle he's running around, people got money. What are you gonna bet first? You gonna bet a nice watch, a car, money? Like that's what those people bet. Like what we bet is $5, $10. That's what we call. Like you said, Shelton, his homie said 10 bands for Jordan is like $10 for us. That's 10 bands for us is a lot of money. 10 bands for Jordan, bro, he sneezed.
Can you think he got an addiction?
Right.
Nah, he's just competitive. Yeah.
Now that I think about it though, wasn't he like flipping dimes or some shit for money?
Yeah, with the security guard.
Okay, he might. Okay, so okay, shit. He might. Okay, Shelton. He might be. He might be on something.
He was with,
And then
How you betting money on flipping coins? Like, what was it, like dimes or pennies or
it
something?
was like a quarter. It was like
Yeah, you didn't do that?
No, dude, I didn't do that. I'm not gonna bet money. You betting money on flipping money? That's crazy, dude.
and you have a competitive person who's addicted to gambling. That's what he is. I mean, it is what it is.
I think he's a competitive person addicted to winning at all costs. It doesn't matter what it is. I think that's what it is. Money is just a byproduct. But I don't think it's the cost. Like, Jordan doesn't do what he does to gain more money.
No, oh yeah. He just do it to take it from who. Like they said, they were playing the dollar games up at the front. He was taking their money too. He just wanted to take their money. That's really all it was about. They're like, why are you paying?
I got your dollar in my pocket. That's it.
That's it. His whole life, and he owes that to his brother Larry. Those guys, man, them dudes, man, they used to beat him in the ground. I remember that, growing up watching that stuff. So he's always been that. He's always gotten that, the sibling rivalry and all that competitive stuff. Yeah, that's him all day long.
It made me think. It made me think about the stories that you hear as far as rumors about like how his father passed, and as far as it being related to the gambling. And there were some pictures of him and his father and stuff, and I was like, are they really gonna go into that realm? And I knew that obviously if Jordan approved the documentary, he wasn't gonna talk about that. But it just made me think like how factual is some of those stories, or do you guys think it's just like rumors that just trying to put two and two together?
Man,
I think
I don't know how factual it is, but I can tell you I remember those days. And we all had our suspicions, like we heard the rumors and the way things were lined up because we knew about the gambling, and then his father just winds up dead, and his father gambled with him. Like, we were like, and then I think he retired afterwards, man. Like, yeah, I felt that was some real. I felt he got involved in some mob shit, and they came from payback. It was a big conspiracy theory at the time. Everybody was talking about it.
But I think looking back at it now, I don't personally, even at the time, I was younger, but I don't think it was tied. Because at the end of the day, if the mob was involved or this and the third, by this time something would have come out. But nobody has said anything about that situation since. Yep. I really think it was senseless. I just think it was just an unfortunate situation, personally. I know as much as everybody.
But you said it right though, FIFO. If it was the mob, nothing will come out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, not necessarily. Like little leaks and stuff like that. Somebody would have said something. Like, how did we find about Donahue?
Because he was talking.
Yeah, I think it was a clean hit. Ain't no reason for that man to be on the side of the road. Yeah,
the story sounds weird. Wasn't he? Yeah. He was tired. He just pulled over and he slept in his car, and then someone robbed him and killed him.
Yeah.
Like that story.
But did they even rob him? I don't even think they robbed him. That's what I'm saying. So it was just weird. I got to go back and look at it again, but it didn't add up. It didn't add up, and it went away quickly.
Yep.
Do you think, okay, if Jordan got into the Illuminati, you got to give somebody up?
I don't.
That's what they said. That's what happened to Kanye, right? Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that just from the standpoint of the book and how what was it? Michael and Me. I was the one that kind of was the biggest one as far as like revealing like not only the gambling stuff, but like how. What was like Horace Grant's role in that book as far as like not even how he was with his teammates and all that stuff? Why do you think the media was trying to come at Michael that way?
You know what I thought about that scene? It felt like it was the beginning of where we are today, where they're all just in his business, and I think And wait. So when you say media, you coming at Horace or coming at MJ?
Like mostly MJ, but like how they would use his teammates to come at him.
Yeah, I mean
Like
he's the
Horace.
biggest star. He'll sell books easy, and he wasn't perfect. And this guy got some inside scoop on him that was really really interesting. So he wrote the book about it, and people felt the need to talk. And that was it. And I think somebody said it in there. They build you up to tear you down. We saw it happen with the Golden State Warriors. Everybody loved the Golden State Warriors, and then overnight, done. Like they hated them. So it's just part of the game.
Yeah, everybody on top is gonna get chased after. So that's pretty much what it was. And the easiest way to him was through his teammates.
Did y'all believe Horace Grant when he said that he ain't say nothing?
Oh, he said something, but he wasn't the only one.
No, I didn't believe Horace. I definitely think Horace was the one that said something because I think he was the most unappreciated one.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that didn't get the limelight. Scottie and Jordan always got the limelight. And without Grant, just like without Rodman, they wouldn't have won no championship. Like you always need another guy that maybe isn't as talented, plays hard, and complements what the best guys on the team do, and that's what Horace was. But I don't think he ever got any articles written about him. Like nobody ever appreciated him the way that they needed to. Okay, I'll put it to you like this: Draymond Green got more love than Horace Grant.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. So I think a lot of people talked. I don't know how much everybody said, but I definitely think Horace probably was one of the few that said a lot.
Yeah, I thought that was like last weekend's episodes were really, really insightful and just in the psyche as far as like even Michael Jordan making that commercial talking about a lot of people want to be like Mike, but if you could beat me for a year, you probably wouldn't say that anymore. That was like, I'm like, damn, this nigga was going through it. So I can't wait to see how this plays out, especially now we're getting into the playoffs and all that stuff. Like I want to see exactly how all this played out as far as that last year.
Yeah, and me and B talked about it. Like I don't think people always see the glitz and the glam. People see you play basketball, they answer questions, and then you drive off in your Corvette. It's like you no longer have a regular life. Like you can't even go to the movies. You can't do the things that you want to do. So for Michael, like I'm gonna gamble and I'm gonna feed my competitive addiction by playing golf, by doing all of these things that take my mind off of my normal life. Because my normal life is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And people don't even take into the account the traveling, right? And I'm not just talking about like, okay, we're flying from city to city. Take into account that you just played a basketball game at the highest level possible against the other best athletes in the world. Then you had to talk to people that want to scrutinize you about all that's happening, right? Then you got to go get on a plane to go fly somewhere else to then go do all of that over again. Like that is not easy. And people just think that is all hunky-dory. Oh yeah, I could do this. Man, that shit is
what's the thing is like they think about just the money, right? They don't think about everything that comes with it. It's just like, bro, if you get paid millions of dollars, man, I could deal with interviews. I could deal with all this other. Man, nah. Especially with a lot of people's temperament. Nah, they couldn't handle it.
No.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the Jordan doc as far as episodes 5 and 6?
Again, we get some insight into just how personal he took everything. Like how offended he was about Drexler. How offended he was about Charles Barkley. It was great hearing that. And once again, I just found myself thinking like, does Kevin Durant feel that way? Like we saw it once when he was like, you know who I am, I'm Kevin Durant. When he went out and torched old boy. I think about other players, like who else has that mindset? And we won't hear the stories until years down the road if they exist. But I would love to know that because we didn't know he was saying this stuff. But for him to say, to tell Magic Johnson, you know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to give it, like, come on, man.
And the shrug. The shrug is probably still.
But we didn't know what the shrug was at the time. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I hated Michael Jordan because Clyde Drexler and the Portland Trail Blazers were my favorite team. And when he was, I was like, he's not going to hit that one. He's not going to hit that one. And he kept hitting this. I'm like, okay, you can't get that lucky. And he did. And it was like, again, that's why he's so mythical. Because he was doing things that you thought were just luck. But we didn't know at the time what the shrug was. It felt like he was just being arrogant and cocky. But he was really doing it to Michael Jordan. It was like, I mean, I told you. I mean, Magic.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
You know what else I noticed in the doc, man, that I really thought was crazy? That Dream Team footage was amazing. I want to see that whole tape, whole practice.
Because you already know they was going at each other.
That was amazing.
Like I say, that they were going at each other crazy.
The best part from that for me was to hear them talk shit to each other. Because you hear about it, but you rarely hear the words they say and how they say it. Because Magic Johnson was on their ass.
Boy, hey. Magic said, he was like, well, we ain't in Chicago Stadium no more, man.
So you know how, like, last week I walked back, I said, we always talk about the all-time fantasy draft, and I was taking Magic over everybody. That stuff, that's what made me change my mind. It made me change my mind because Jordan just has that level of whether it's legit or not, whether he makes it up in his own head or not. He has levels that he can reach and just turn on that nobody can stop him. Because of that, that's why he's the greatest. It's like in that scrimmage, like Magic and Charles' team was busting their ass by like 6 or 8 points. And then all of a sudden Magic and Charles started talking, and then Jordan said, give me the rock. And you just saw it. There was nothing you can do. You had the best center, literally the best. And Jordan just said, all of y'all my son.
And I love.
You see how he drove down the lane with ease for like a layup. And this is like you said before, I'm like, bro, this is like the top 10, 15 players in ever, damn near. And he is just giving them work.
And I love how he dismissed them because he was like, what he say, it's not the 80s anymore. This the 90s? It's the 90s now. It's the 90s. He was like, this is my time. You guys had the 80s. You and Larry Bird and all this other stuff. This is my time. That time is over. Y'all got all the calls and stuff like that. Nah, it's me.
Right. And he like you said, he reached another level, man. That was just crazy, man. It was crazy to watch, man. It was crazy to watch. Also to hear them say how tense it was back on the bus. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep,
they were close to blows on that bus probably.
Yep.
And then when they broke the ice saying how good he was, we shouldn't have made him mad,
Another funny part I remember, Fivo, you mentioned about how MJ went back and wore the ones during his last time with the going against the Knicks with the Bulls, and then like remember when they were after the game, he was talking to Pat Ewing, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, I had to take you back to the '80s to bust your ass." And Pat was like, "Bro, don't bring that shit up again." He said, "Stop talking that shit." I'm like, "Damn, my nigga, like, shit, the game over. You ain't got it." I'm like, man, MJ was a dog.
Jordan had everybody's card. Think about it. I beat all of y'all at every level. At every level. What? You can't talk shit to me. And Jordan played like that. Jordan played like, I'm going to talk all this shit. You could be nice, but you're not better than me, and I'm going to win. And I'm going to outscore you, and I'm going to shut you down. Like, there's not, and Ken, going back to what you were saying, like, you want to know, like, if KD and LeBron and all of the great ones now think like that. I think they think like that in moments, and when they do, we see the performance, right? Like when KD said, "Y'all know my name." What did KD go out there and do? When everybody was questioning LeBron against the Celtics, that game 6, what did he go out there and do? So I think in moments, these guys, they all have that love because separate. But I think Jordan just lived in that mind space more than anybody else. Like think about what LeBron said after that game 6 performance. He was like, yeah, people always want me to come out and play like this. And they don't understand that, like, you have to get to a certain mentality to be able to perform like that, right? But Jordan operated in that space almost every game. everybody can't do that. Everybody's not mentally ready or prepared or tough enough to take their body and their mind to play at that level. That's extremely,
especially after you keep winning titles. Like to have that same hunger after you're like, okay, you're the best.
But again, and I think the other part is that it wasn't always successful. But he still had that mindset. Like he was willing to go give it everything. Like we see the moments where it worked, but we've also seen the moments where it didn't against the Celtics. You know, and they lost the first 2 games against the Knicks. You know, it took the media to piss him off to get him to that spot. If they didn't jump on him about gambling, they probably would have lost that series. You know, if people weren't talking shit about Clyde Drexler, well, they probably would have lost that anyway. But those are the moments that kind of trigger him. And those are the things that I like. Like when Ahmad Rashad asked him, like, who's going to take the last shot? He was like, me. Like, you know, he was like, who else? Like, he's the only he and Kobe probably the only ones that really feel that way. But we've seen Jordan pass up the last shot. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think that the difference is like MJ also manufactures a lot of that stuff for himself. Because like you said, like people talk bad about, if you're in the public eye, they talk bad about you. But they don't always talk bad about you. They don't always talk bad about LeBron.
Right.
But how many times do these great players manufacture something to get them to that level? They don't. They simply don't.
Yep. Oh yeah, when Zion threatened LeBron, the run they had against the Bucks and the Clippers. So we've seen it in spurts, but like you said, Jordan lives there. That's his home. You know.
Lived there.
Yep. The last thing I want to say, because somebody, I don't want to say somebody, I want to actually say their name, pointed out in the chat. Michael Rich 727 said that a mob boss, Michael Franzese, said that he kind of alluded to the killing, and I'll read what I found. He said, I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but being as I was working with the NBA at the time, I was told 2 things. One, he was told to leave the NBA around the time his father got murdered because stories were about to come out, and there was a lot of heat on the fact that because of Michael's gambling habit, his father paid the price. And the NBA didn't want the press, so they asked him to leave for a while. That's when he went to play baseball. Then when things settled down, he came back. The plan was always, from what I was told, for him to come back. He said he heard this from a source who was pretty knowledgeable, someone he knew pretty well inside the NBA. That's what he said. And I remember that. What'd you say, B?
No, I'm just saying also too, like for people saying, you know, oh, if MJ would have retired, they would have won, you know, 90, 94, 95. Not the way Jordan was talking after the 3-peat, because Jordan himself said by the time he won that third one, he was mentally and physically drained. So can you imagine trying to come back for another season to try to go ahead and win that again? I think either the Knicks would have finally got past them in 90, which they did, but it was without Jordan. I think Knicks would have finally got past them, or they would have got smacked around by the Rockets.
Yep.
You know, trying to
the ladder.
Because I think when you said what, Kim?
He said Houston would have won.
Oh yeah, I think so, because I think Jordan was just. I think that run, you know, when you playing basketball for that long, for that many years, because you got to think before those title runs, he was going to the East Finals, you know, in '89 and '90. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of ball being played, man. And then you going through that mental and physical toughness of winning 3-peats, and Jordan clearly saying that he was mentally tired and physically tired. I don't know if he would have won. They would have went and won 8 in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Most people say.
I agree with you, B. And another reason too, and Jordan alluded to this, was what other challenge did he truly have? Like, bro, like my contemporaries never won 3 straight.
Yeah, only Bill Russell did that. Only the Celtics in the '60s did that. That's it.
So I've led the league in scoring. I've shined in every critical moment. I'm the most clutch player. I'm the biggest player. We've won 3 in a row. Like, what else do I need to do out here? Like, there was nothing else for Jordan to prove on the basketball court. If we're being completely honest, and we're taking the conspiracy theory away, and we're just taking Jordan at his word, what else was he supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Like winning the 4th one, would that have elevated him more than what he did winning a three-peat with it? No, I personally I don't think so. So
and also too, man, I'm glad for the young folks that only seen Charles Barkley on TNT.
Yep.
Put some respect on that man's name.
Yes.
Yep.
He's mentioned Barkley is mentioned a top 3, a top 5 power forward all times for a reason. Put some respect on that man's name. I'm glad people we saw a glimpse. We didn't see a whole thing because this is not a Charles Barkley documentary, but we saw a glimpse of the great. They did. I mean, we witnessed. Most of us in here witnessed Charles Barkley's career, so we know what Barkley's about. But I'm glad they kind of had to let some of these young folks know, like, look, that same dude that's sitting there chubby at TNT with Shaq and Ernie and Kenny, don't get it twisted. Barkley was that dude, man. Barkley was that dude.
And you know what? To give Barkley credit, just think about how many guys wouldn't be able to will themselves to a win against a Michael Jordan team.
In a triple overtime.
How great you are, and triple overtime. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I clearly remember that game.
I do too.
Me too.
Because we were the craziest part about it was we was at the Puerto Rican Day Parade in Chicago, right? And this is before internet. This is before, LED TVs that you could just put anywhere. And a whole bunch of people had them rabbit ears, watching NBC. And me and my parents are walking through Humboldt Park, and every 5 to 10 feet that you walk, somebody had a TV, and everybody was watching it. And it came to a point that, like, after that first overtime, me and my family, we just stopped and watched the other 2 overtimes. We were like, forget, trying to get back to the car. We was watching the game right there. You know what I'm saying? So, but going back to Charles, man, like there's a lot of great players that Jordan played against, and not many could have done what Charles Barkley did in that game. You know what I'm saying? To actually build them to a win the way he did. You know what I'm saying? So that just speaks to how great Charles was.
And it also, like, I remember that finals vividly, man. I like, it gave me stress all over again because
that was a team I thought Jordan was going to. Like, I thought Phoenix was going to get them.
Doing everything.
And I was so stressed watching that triple overtime, and then the next couple of games. But I remember Game 6, and this just brought back the memories. They were up 4, and they just let him walk in and score that layup. I'll never forget that moment because I was hoping that it wouldn't come back to hurt him, but I had a feeling that it would. And that's when the Paxson shot went in. And he was wide open. Like, Jordan literally, y'all saw it, got the ball and ran it uncontested. And those are the small moments that could cost you a title that you don't know.
Yeah. He scored like in 3 or 4 seconds.
Yes.
He got it and went.
Didn't Jordan say Jerry Krause liked Dan Marley?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
That was another one.
Did you know?
That's what fueled Jordan to bust Dan Marley's ass during that finals.
Yep.
That was it. That's all Jordan needed. That's all he needed was that little push. Like, oh, you like Dan Marley? Oh, okay, man.
And if you go back to the couple episodes before, same thing with Tony Kukoc.
Yeah.
Jerry Krause liked Tony Kukoc.
Jerry Krause was saying how Tony Kukoc was the future for the Bulls, and Jordan and Pippen looking like, motherfucker, we just got you 2 championships. Like, who are you to say this about this dude?
You know what, you know how Jerry Krause tried to spin that? He was like, we're not just about the players, it's a whole organization. We're a great organization.
Yeah, I remember him saying that, but
bring it back to like, hold on, I need some love too.
It didn't work. Nobody bought it.
Is the villain in this whole series. He's the little man that's Despicable Me.
I remember that Tony Kukoc thing, man. When they showed that, just brought all the memories back. And I remember they just destroyed him.
And he still sound dumbfounded.
Oh yeah, he still hurts. He was like, why they take it out on me? He said they didn't even know me. What I do? He said,
right.
They embarrassed that dude, man. They embarrassed that dude. They did not like him. But
even when he gained some of their respect in that second game, they still busted their ass by like what, 20 or 30 or something like that. I'm like,
Dream Team was just blowing teams out, man.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that wasn't even fair basketball back then, boy.
And you know what? Look, we definitely got to give credit to that 92 Dream Team for making the basketball game global. Because without them, we wouldn't have Dirk, we wouldn't have Steve Nash, we wouldn't have all of these international stars if it wasn't for that dream team.
What did Kuko said? I didn't know they were going to be right in my face. He said, I didn't know they played defense really like that. The last one I remember is when he said, I don't know about you guys, but I'm only packing one suit.
Yeah, that was, hey, man, that was he was, I don't give a damn what y'all saying. I'm packing
like,
one
who
suit.
said stuff like that in today's league, dude?
It mean it.
Like, for you to be that focused and that zoomed in to say, I'm only packing one suit. Like that, and then fucking win. That man out there, people. That's crazy.
Hey, look off of the subject. Well, still on the subject, but off that a little bit. Let me ask y'all: did y'all see Michael passing out the tickets to his teammates?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he had all the tickets.
Yeah.
Why did he have all the tickets? I couldn't figure that part out.
Because he's MJ. And then just think about, like, at the time, like, they were talking about how, obviously they had an allocation for players and, big guests and stuff like that. But it came a point where the Bulls were so big that they couldn't give that allocation to other players.
Right.
Definitely was going to give it to Mike. Mm-hmm. Players had to go to Michael Jordan to get extra tickets.
Get tickets. He asked, I saw Randy Brown. He asked Randy Brown, he said, do you care where they sit? And he's like, I don't care if they're up there next to God. I don't care. I just want a seat. And he was like, all right. So I'm like, dang. I said, I wonder if it's because he's Mike or it's because he's team captain or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't get the reasoning behind.
Yeah, the Bulls were just so big that they didn't have enough tickets to give out. So they gave their extra allocation to Michael Jordan and said, hey, y'all deal with Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, you didn't finish the story, though. He said he was God. Don't forget that.
Yeah. I put that in my notes to say. He said that he was like, "Oh, I am God." Like that was dope right there. The way he put that in there. Yeah, That was crazy. But I thought about that. I'm like, now you Michael Jordan, man. You got all his responsibilities already on the court, all his responsibilities off the court. Yet you got to sit here and distribute tickets to yourself. Like. Did he take tickets and sell popcorn and everything else? Dang, what did he do? You know what I'm saying? Michael did it all.
Yeah, man.
He did it all.
Yeah, that's all I got. But yeah, I'm loving this whole doc. Do y'all think this is gonna win like an Oscar or something when it's all said and done? Because I feel like this is some of the best storytelling we've seen in a while. Well, not in a while, because they had that OJ documentary. You brought that up before too. But like just on covering Jordan, I love this whole thing.
I mean, it's all right. I mean, Bad Boys and Fab Five shit is better.
you said the Bad Boys doc was better.
Bad Boys and Fab Five shit was better, man. So
Ric Flair was too, right?
Oh yeah, Ric Flair shit was good too. That was back when I used to watch wrestling when I was.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that shit now. Like looking back, I'm like, why the fuck was I watching wrestling? But that's another.
It was better then, though.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it's. I saved my comment, but yeah, another story for another day.
Yeah, that's it for me.
All right, well, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us again. Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, he did average 41 in that finals. Ugh, crazy. But yeah, so anyway, there may be a change.
Hey, one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. One more question for y'all. David Falk said that in today's NBA, Jordan would average 40 to 50 points a game. Do y'all believe that to be true?
Harden's averaging 37.
Yeah, he could average 40.
Yeah,
I would say yes, because he would get more free throw attempts. That would be the difference.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that too, FIFO. I said, yeah, he would definitely get to the line a lot. He would live at the free throw line.
Yep.
Because I think James Harden averages 13 to 14 free throw attempts. Jordan would be up there.
Yeah, Jordan would be about 15, 16 per game.
Yeah.
Yep. But
okay. That's all I got.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just point as well. If you watched a lot of where MJ shot, he shot a lot of long twos. So in today's game, that half step or full step back would be threes. Jordan would have attempted a lot more threes. I think that's something he would have perfected. He would have definitely averaged 40 to 50 points a game. I definitely think so. I think he would have attacked basketball just a little bit.
Yeah, because the shorter they brought the line in, the more they brought the line in, the more 3-pointers he shot. When the line was back, he didn't shoot that many threes. But when they shortened the line and brought it up, he shot more threes. So, yep, you're right. But yeah, so we're obviously in May, and the world is opening up, and things are going to open up, and people are going back to work. So we may not be able to do these at 3 or 2 on Mondays and Tuesdays. So we may go back to the evenings, but we'll keep you guys posted. I'm gonna try to go ahead and keep these things scheduled out in advance so you'll know. But yeah, just know that as the world continues to change and get back to whatever this normal is gonna be, then we're gonna of course adapt and adjust to it as well. But yeah, man, we still gonna be here talking about what we can and covering the Last Dance and everything else that comes up. So thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you guys next time. We out. Peace.
Peace.
All right,
Man, that nigga Jordan he would average 40 something easy.
Yeah, I was thinking like, man, they hyping up Jordan. It's ridiculous. He wouldn't do that. But then looking at this doc, I'm like, he bullied the fuck out of Clyde Drexler for that whole series.
Hey man, chill out.
I'm just saying.
He had to, because Nick, at the time going into that finals, they were